Just starting in a few minutes. This is question period live.
The question is very simple. It's been a year ago, right before prorogation, we rushed to put into place the Foreign Interference Act because CSIS, the RCMP, and so many other agents in this country informed the government of the poor behavior of Beijing and China in regards to infiltrating our economy, institutions, et cetera, et cetera. By the way, a year later, the Foreign Interference Act that we passed in this very place is not even in place. So do you think it's logical that the Prime Minister is actually not spending the time required on the $30 trillion economic partner to the South, but is running to Beijing to negotiate with a dictator?
Senator Moro.
Well, I said earlier that what the Prime Minister,
economic partner to the South, but is running to Beijing to negotiate with a dictator.
Senator Moro.
Well, I said earlier that what the Prime Minister did with
economic partner to the South, but is running to Beijing to negotiate with a dictator.
Senator Moro.
Well, I said earlier that what the Prime Minister did with what we call the Asian tour is to diversify the Canadian economy. You're aware that the world economy is changing and that the U.S. economy is changing drastically. What we try to do is to build a stronger economy, and to do that we have to develop new markets. And that's exactly what the leadership of the Prime Minister is now demonstrating. He's traveling to make engagement with other leaders in the world to strengthen the Canadian economy so that we would not depend on one only major partner, but that we will diversify the Canadian economy. That's what Canadians deserve, and I think that the Prime Minister is aiming to the better good of all Canadians.
Senator Husakos.
I was part of a government that signed 41 free trade deals, the Stephen Harper government, most of them with those Asia-Pacific nations. But let me tell you this, our focus was always on our number one trading partner, that $30 trillion economy our country relies on. So the question, again, is a very simple one. We all understand the foreign interference challenge we have had from Beijing and this nefarious dictatorship. All of a sudden, 7 months in, this government all of a sudden has gone back to their friends in Beijing, and it's almost like Liberal Party business as usual. Aren't you as concerned as we are about that?
Senator Moro.
You know, Senator Usakos, diplomacy is about having constructive, at times difficult conversation. I understand that while in Beijing, Minister Annan met with her counterpart to discuss issue of sensitivity and identify key areas where Canada and China can work together, including the environment, energy, and health. The government is committed to ensuring the strategic partnership with China continue to move forward constructively and pragmatically, because we need to build a strong economy, and that's...
Merci, Senator Martin. Je vous remercie, Senator Martin.
Government leader, CBC, the taxpayer-funded broadcaster that receives over $1 billion a year from the government, is now in federal court to block the release of its GEM streaming subscriber numbers after Canada's Information Commissioner ruled that the CBC's secrecy claims over this data were unfounded. Yet instead of respecting transparency, the broadcaster is spending public money to hide basic information that would show Canadians whether their investment is delivering results. So, Leader, why should taxpayers pay for the CBC's lawyers to keep them in the dark?
Right. Senator Moro.
I think that, well, probably that the government is thinking that Canadians deserve that the CBC be well funded by the government. But as your question raised the issue of a challenge in court, it is not proper for me to comment when the justice is now studying the review and the procedure that has been forward by CBC. And I will not comment on any, like I will not comment on any matters that is in front of a justice court.
Senator Martin.
Well, except all the money that they are spending is taxpayer money. So I'm asking Senator Moreau, will your government direct the CBC to drop this costly court case and comply with the Information Commissioner's ruling? Or do you believe state-funded media should be above the same transparency laws that apply to everyone else?
Exactly. Senator Moreau?
Well, CBC is allowed to make his own decision on whether or not there has to be challenge in court. And when this challenge happened, it's not for me to comment here at the Senate or anywhere else. We will have to wait and see what the judgment is. And when the judgment is rendered, I'll be happy to answer more deeply on your question.
Alors, le temps alloué.
The time for question period has now expired.
Delayed answers, réponses différées. Ordre du jour, orders of the day. Government business, affaires du gouvernement.
Bills, second reading. Projet de loi, deuxième lecture. Number 1, Bill F3.
Senator Veroni.
Honourable Senators, I move that this bill be read a second time.
L'honorable sénateur Veroni propose.
It is moved by the Honourable Senator Veroni, seconded by the Honourable Senator Arnott, that this bill be read a second time. On debate, Senator Veroni.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I wish to begin by acknowledging that the land on which we gather is on the unceded traditional territory of the Algonquin Anishinaabe Nation. I'm pleased to rise at second reading in support of Bill S3, an act to amend the Weights and Measurements Act, the Electricity and Gas Inspection Act, the Weights and Measures Regulations, and the Electricity and Gas Inspection Regulations. It's a real barn burner of a bill. A real page turner, if you will. I encourage all senators to read it. In fact, my daughter, after Friday night trick-or-treating and Halloweening, came home quite nervous and had trouble sleeping, and she asked me, "Dad, can you read me your speech?" I obliged. In all seriousness, trade measurement touches the lives of every Canadian each and every day. Whether you're fueling your cars, buying fruits and vegetables at the grocery store, or paying your electricity bill, Canadians rely on accurate and reliable measurements. Financial transactions based on measurement occur in virtually all major industry sectors in the commercial and retail supply chains. The accuracy of devices used to buy or sell goods based on measurement has a direct impact on all the pockets of Canadians. The government's responsibility for trade measurement laws and requirements governing the accuracy and reliability of the purchase and sale of measured goods is grounded in the Constitution Act of 1867. These laws are essential to the fair, efficient, and competitive operation of the marketplace and contribute to a strong and resilient economy. Measurement Canada, an agency of the Innovation, Science, and Economic Development Canada, is responsible for administering and enforcing Canada's trade measurement laws and its requirements from coast to coast to coast. As part of its legislative mandate, the agency evaluates and approves scales, gas pumps, electricity, natural gas meters, electric vehicle chargers, and other measuring devices for use in Canada, and tests and certifies the accuracy of these devices once they are installed in the marketplace. The agency also calibrates and certifies the physical test standards used to certify devices. It investigates businesses and consumer complaints of suspected inaccurate measurement. The agency continues to recognize private sector organizations to test and certify measuring devices. The laws governing the accuracy and reliability of the purchase and sale of measured goods have served consumers and businesses well for many decades. However, they have not kept pace with the current market environment in today's digital age. These laws have not been substantially updated since the 1980s, at a time when the predominant measurement technologies were mechanical and transactions were paper-based. They came into effect before the Internet, before mobile and wireless technologies, and became the prominent way of businesses and their customers interacting. As such, the current laws are not well suited to adapt to the increasingly automated, software-enhanced, and digitally enabled measurement systems. The current legislative framework for trade measurement reflects the time it was created in. It is static, prescriptive, overly complex, and burdensome. The compliance and enforcement tools are limited and tend to be punitive rather than preventative. They are not scalable to reflect the impact of noncompliance, resulting in penalties that are not always suitable to the offense. They need to be improved to achieve desired changes in behavior and improve compliance in the marketplace. Digital technologies are fundamental to the way businesses and consumers interact in the marketplace, and the pace of technology development continues to shorten product life cycles. Trade measurement laws governing financial transactions should reflect this, namely in the purchase and sale of measured goods, and protect consumers and businesses. This will help to prevent loss due to inaccurate measurement and unfair business practices, while at the same time encouraging innovation, improving timely access to advances in measurement technologies, and increasing businesses' ability to adapt to an ever-evolving marketplace and customer preferences. This bill amends the Weights and Measures Act and the Electricity and Gas Inspection Act with the goal of modernizing Canada's trade measurement framework to address these challenges. The proposed legislative changes will create a framework that would reduce barriers to business success, reduce burden on regulated parties, increase protections for consumers, and allow increased efficiency.
Let's tone this down for a second. Put the volume down. We'll put it right down to Neil. Okay, we need all this stuff here. It's been a while, so I just putting all this together now for you. We're waiting on the budget is it'll all be out very shortly. It is the tightest budget. Here, let me put this on. The tightest budget security we have ever had. It's been, like, honestly, so tight-lipped. It's like the secret of secrets here we've got going on. Oh, shoot. Who's that over there? I didn't mean to do that. I'll do that in a second. Oh, whatever. Okay, so it's the budget of budgets. Put my stuff on. Long-haired hippie. Yeah. So, sorry. So yeah, the budget has been very quiet. I'm gonna read the CBC article out for you in a second here, to see what's happening. And I was not prepared here. With the extra. Go. Get a little bit of shed some light. Gotta move some wires. So yeah, welcome. It's been tight-lipped. I'm gonna read the CBC article that they had it, but there's been no. Normally they have normally there's some kind of leak. They do it on purpose. It seems that my lights. I gotta turn my lights on. But this time they had nothing. Literally nothing. Utter silence. Hold on here. And then Champagne didn't do any interviews before or any other ministers. So, hey, they said it's going to be a big budget changing thing. So they built it up by not giving it out. So if there isn't a whole whop of whoppers for the regular people, I fear that the excitement isn't going to be there because they kind of built it up. I got to turn the fan on here, Hot-blooded! Ow! So this is the big issue. Okay. Let there be light. The big issue is that, hey, they're going to have a... What are they going to do here? They're going to have a big budget, and are they going to get a lot of money going on to it, or is it going to be just more money for investors, or what are we getting? We honestly, it's the biggest mystery we've had in a budget for a long time. Not much. You haven't missed much. This is just the weighting of this individual is talking about an act, and I'm yakking away. But the whole thing is a secret. This is the weirdest of things, the secret. So it basically, in my view, it built it up. So we're like, oh, are we going to get something? So everyone's kind of paying attention to it. By having it like leaked out a little bit, it lets the steam out either way. So people like any high expectations can be gone, right? They're like, whatever, it's gone, right? I don't have high expectations because it came out. So it does that. It doesn't have low expectations because, you know, like again, the same thing. We just don't know. Oh shoot, I gotta charge my other computer to set this up, right? Shoot, it totally did. I don't use it much. Yeah. So that's where we're. I'm gonna check on this. Well, this is charging. Just gonna here. I'll even. I don't know. You don't want to see me, though. Gotta do something. There's some artwork. Nice artwork. Local artist. Rowing. So that is where we're at. So is it doing? He's going to be reading it out, and the House of Commons here. Okay, so I'm. It should be by 4 o'clock. It will be. We're going to get the thing, the CBC article. I'm going to check that out in a second. I know I'm rambling. I'm kind of doing 10 things at once here. We're at oral questions in the Commons. At 4 o'clock, the budget will be at the House of Commons, but it usually goes to the Senate first, and that's where we're hoping it goes. We'll see. I'm hoping it's at the Senate first. So. But so this is the individual. We're waiting for it to come on. On that. So what else do we have? We really literally don't have anything. No knowledge on this this budget. So honestly, for me, when they don't have anything, I have a feeling it's not gonna be like people are not gonna be like the average person. Because they didn't make it. I don't think there's any newsworthy items in it. Is going to be a problem. It's going to be boring bankerish, which there won't be any like whoo zing zaz ooh, you know. So the way I see that is it could work for the country, but it won't give. See, the problem with people in banking and a lot of lawyerly people is they don't understand that when you get a group, and anyone, like especially blue-collar people, when you got a group of people, motivating them is just as important as incentivizing them. Like I could say, hey guys, here I'm going to give you $10 more an hour today, or a bonus of 1,000 or whatever today if you work harder, and they'll work harder for a while. But if they're not inspired, or they don't have a debt, or they got money, it doesn't last. Done it before. I've tried to like bribe them with them. I've bribed them with food. That a lot of times you give them a burger at lunch, and then you say, "Hey guys, we're behind the gun today. I gave you, you know what I mean? Here's a burger. Can you just step it up today? Not every day, but today, can you do it?" And if the guy doesn't totally hate you, the bribe will work. So that's the one thing is a lot of times that I find politicians miss. They don't incentivize. Sometimes it's turning on the music that everybody likes, right? That's hard to find nowadays as we all become more spread. But these things, these incentivized things, it can inspire. And now a politician has the toughest job, in my opinion. They have to inspire the whole nation, a whole nation. So the good, the bad, and the ugly, and then the others, right? So saying that, it just basically has the largest difficulty you're going to have is keeping these people, all these ducks, as I say, in a row, right? Getting people, keeping their excitement to want to invest. And remember, we're not just dealing with like regular blue collar people. We're dealing with business leaders and this and that are like, well, you know, I'm excited. I'm going to invest. Well, incremental stuff, it doesn't get people excited. It doesn't help a business leader or I think motivate people underneath. So this is my problem I've found with a lot of what's been happening in Canadian politics. Since the 60s, we've done no major building projects, no infrastructure projects, no major ones. There's been a couple, but most of them, of Canadian ones, were done in the 60s. It took on huge debt. There was some big mistakes with it. A lot of times the Liberals initiated it and the Conservatives ended up taking it over, saying everything's a mess, and they clean it up. That's kind of the opposite, the way they did it, loosely saying, of course. But that's over. It's been over for the 70s, 80s even, especially by the 80s. There's been no major project. You see, like if you go to like around here, we have 7 locks. They're like ancient. It looks like you're looking at medieval gates. It's like, ooh, it's kind of scary. When you look at these gates, they're like, 7-story tall gates of holding back water, and water's pouring out of them. It literally looks like wrought iron, a medieval gate. It's insane. And just patchwork all over it. So this is how basically I use that as an example of the whole country. Major infrastructure that only a federal government can do. Ports, major rail lines. These things haven't been done. Churchill, I love this guy. Wab Canoe. I think he's the best premier we have. Okay, I'm gonna put on. I'm way too big on this baloney. So Wab Canoe, he's basically begging.
Bills are introduced in the House of Commons. Certainly, they can.
Begging for this line. There is a rail line to Churchill, and now in Churchill, this rail line, some private company had to pick it up because they were basically dropping it. The government wasn't going to fund it anymore. A private company had to pick it up to go to Churchill. This is unbelievable. It's a port, the only port that we have, deep water port, by the way, on James Bay, Hudson Bay. Let's get this stuff on here. Get me smaller. And so this company, they've been doing a good, the way I've seen, I don't know much about them. If I could invest in them, I probably would try. But they kept it going as best they could without major money, without being a huge outfit, you know what I mean? They kept that rail going. And the government, the federal government, it's a tough line to go up north, like the shifting and freezing and all that. So this is basically a huge deal, a huge undertaking. And the government really didn't put anything to it. They basically let it go. And we're like, a G7 nation, one of the richest countries in the world. It really makes no sense to me that we've literally let a whole town down, right? And it's basically the whole province. And trying to get oil out, to me, it makes so much sense. Well, why isn't it going to Churchill, like James Bay, out that way? If global warming is real, I don't know. It seems that Bill Gates doesn't believe in it anymore. But if that was the case, even so, it doesn't matter if it's real or not. Our technologies that we have available to us right now are so much more advanced. If you go back even 20 years ago into a northern community, the single pane glass, basically they were just leaking. They leaked everywhere, like every building. Leaked air everywhere. They're freezing. A good storm, you could feel it inside of a room. Well, now with double pane argon, triple pane argon filled glass, insulation R2000 homes, and all this beautiful stuff, you don't have the same. You don't have the same problems, right? We can build up north way better. We have icebreakers that are just like the Russians are really. China has more icebreakers than us, which is odd. And so this is the time that we as a country need to invest in our nation building. As they said in the beginning of why I was like, with the Liberals when they got elected, nation building projects. We've done nothing since they've been in. It's almost been a year. They put money into things. I'm kind of a little bit disappointed in them, and this bill may help alleviate that disappointment. Because incremental things is the normal way of business, but we're beyond incremental. Our country is, and we're in trouble. That's why we need more spending. Liberals are insane. My belief was what the Liberals will come in, they'll have all these pipe dream ideas, and they'll throw money around, and eventually the scandals will add up, right? And then they're Canadian scandals, right? Like a company overcharged for this rubber thing for this project. You know what I mean? Canadian scandals, not major, but they start adding up. And basically incompetence mostly. They're incompetent scandals, right? A lazy person. And then eventually the Conservatives will get in. They won't be able to cancel the projects, but what they'll do is they'll go in with a fine-tooth comb and make sure that the money being spent is worthwhile. So they do cuts and short and all this stuff. That's what I was hoping. As it happened before in the 60s of Canada, a revisiting of this method. The Conservatives, the Liberals have the good idea, their pipe dreams or whatever. I shouldn't say it like that. But they have the great ideas. It gets bogged down in BS because they do stupid stuff. You know what I mean? Sometimes there's a little bit of corruption, but most of the time it's just laziness and incompetence. Remember, a lot of these politicians, they're lawyers. They have they understand the wording, the legal of a contract, but when they start building stuff, when you get a guy building stuff, a construction guy, just because they didn't go to lawyer school doesn't mean they're stupid. They know their business, and they know how to walk circles around. I worked with a guy. They know how to walk circles around lawyerly government employee people. Like my favorite example was there was a bid this guy showed, and this company. There was a government issued order tender, or they call it, right? It's a tender, and the company I was working for, the head guy, that his job was to find flaw. He literally, his only job was to look at the tender and go line by line and find what they missed on the building. And what happens is a lot of times a construction guy, well, let's just assume they're like, oh, well, they didn't mention the pump, so I assume they need the pump. But if they didn't mention it, it's not in the tender, you don't put it in there. You go later, you say, hey, there's no pump in the tender. I didn't know what you wanted. And so this is this guy's job. He found it was a 7 or 8 story building. I think 7. It was a 7-story building. Well, in the tender, they forgot to put a whole floor in. And there was like 60 toilets in that floor. It was a big building. There's a lot of toilets and sinks, right? 60 units, I'll call it. So they missed 60 units in the tender. We got the bid, or that company I was working for. I got there when they were just wrapping up the project. And they got the tender, and they're like, well, you guys are way lower. And they all laughed and everything. They're like, yeah, because you missed a floor. And they freaked out. They tried to get out, apparently. Well, they missed the floor. This is what companies do. The government issues something, and they try to find the flaw. That's natural. Canada deserves to lose Alberta. Okay. Alberta, that's a silly thing. That's like an American talking point. I'm sorry. I don't know. I think it's silly. You can have your own opinion. 25%. It's oil. It comes from someone who works in the oil industry or is just angry. And it used to be a big deal, the oil industry, more of a percentage, but it's only about 25% of the income of Alberta. And the other 75%, they're not into separating or this and that because of a pipeline. It's a big part of Alberta's economy. But 25% doesn't constitute because they can't get a pipeline easy enough. Doesn't constitute a reason to separate from the nation. And besides, I read what a very close, powerful neighbor had plans to do to Canada if Quebec separate. I read it. This is a real paper. I shouldn't have read it. I got it. I got my paws on it, right? And it scared me. It scared me into it was diabolical. Whatever. In a legal way, but what they would have just basically destroyed the economy and bought it up. It would, and that's exactly what will happen in Alberta. Alberta thinks, oh yeah, we're going to be welcomed with welcome arms and open arms to America if we separate. No, to the victor goes the spoils, and just because you can't go back on that. What are they going to say? Oh, you're giving us bad deals. They're going to be like, yeah, well, you weren't a very reliable partner to your last partner, so we're going to make sure you're reliable to us, and they will squeeze, and then eventually it'll get better. But that's how I'll talk about it, and it's just so silly for any Albertan Canadian to think, oh yeah, it'll be all peace and love. No, they're going to use it to their advantage. because of a stupid emotional reaction. It is a good angle to use. Quebec's used it fairly successfully to help get things, but Quebec has a specific identity. You know, they speak it, the language. They have so it's a little bit makes more sense. Though that's also, in my opinion, it doesn't have as much weight. I'm just going on that. The separatist part, I'm really not into separatism. It's silly. Talk like that is exactly why they want the heck out. Okay, yeah, okay. Well, I'm not sure what you meant by talk like that. That's exactly what the plan was going to be. It's just whatever. We're waiting on it. This is just the act to develop a national framework for basic income. This is the Senate right now. I'm gonna be talking for a while, but 4:00 it's in the House of Commons, and that's when it's gonna be on. So if you want to go and come back, but I'm just gonna ramble on. I want to do the CBC article. And I'm not saying things that isn't out of my. It's the literal what I read. I read they had a plan. They built a plan for this, and then they're going to do the same thing. They'll do the same thing to any place that comes in. Now, it'll be different story for a place that they half off, like Greenland. If America were to buy Greenland, it's going to be love ending. They have only about 50,000 people in Greenland. I don't know what's happening with that. I think it's been quieted. But then there's someone talk about Venezuela, the Maracaibo area. It's you look at Maracaibo, whatever. If you look at the Venezuelan map, it's on the left side, and there's this it's a teardrop-sized lake, beautiful thing, and that's where a lot of the oil is. There's oil on on both sides. It's kind of odd. It's bracketed. The country is bracketed in oil. On the right side, on the east. It's on their border with Guyana, and it goes all the way into the water. And this is a huge find. This is remember, Venezuela has the most oil of any country in the world. And then also it's on the Maracaibo, which I'll Google exact name. Of course I'm pronouncing it wrong. They have, and it's not like our crappy oil. It's really good light tight oil, and so that's where they produced a lot of oil in that other region. And it's like I like to think of Caracas as the capital, and Maracaibo it's like the second city, and it's oil-rich city. The company PDVS whatever, based out of there, they've had major problems. They're literally not producing as much oil as the province of Manitoba in Venezuela. It's unbelievable. I'm exaggerating for effect, but they're not. The country with the most oil in the world, they've screwed up their industry so much through their horrible government. Their government just silliness. And that area has a very large separatist area, right? Where that woman who probably won the last election, and Maduro claimed it anyway, who was in hiding and won the... and she won the Nobel Peace Prize. She's probably hiding there, or that part of the country, or she's out of the country, who knows. But that area is kind of separatisty feel because they're tired. They're like, we could make this country the richest in the world, but we can't because you destroyed our industry. And then they didn't just do that. If you think it was all, I kind of was sucked in by Chavez a little bit, I'll admit it. And they decided, no, we're going to... Go full tilt on it, and it got worse and worse and worse and worse, and they polluted the Lake Maracaibo, whatever. They just polluted. You look at the pictures of it. They destroyed their own land, and that was part of the reason why the company was falling. They couldn't even keep up with their too much bribes, too much corruption, and basically just idiots running things. A lot of it. Because you had to be in the know, right, or in the club to get a position, right? And so that was happening. And there's major pollution. There's so much pollution in there. Like the whole shore, the way I've seen it, at least, the whole shore, 30, 40 feet, it's just all oil. It's disgusting. And this is what they've done to the nation. They should be richer. The people in Venezuela should be richer than Americans on average, you know. But they've destroyed their industry, and it's gone on for so long. The Middle East. Why is the Middle East being so peaceful with Israel and all that and stuff? And they're opening up for investment. Well, because these people in the Middle East, these leaders over there. I didn't meet the high up, but I met a guy who owned a mountain. Okay, he wasn't the richest person, and it was very quickly in passing. I met most of his assistants, but the guy owns a, and so brilliant, really smart, calm, actually calm like a breeze. They're very calm. I found that very unusual. I didn't expect that because you see it on CNN. They're all freaking out, and so yeah, they were very calm, cool, collected people, and they kept different hours than us because of the heat. But so the guy told me. All right, the one guy told me, hi, we have this is about 15 years ago now. He says we have about 50 years left of oil. He says it's over 50 years. I'm like, what? I'm like, no way, you got way more. He's going, no, we have more. We could produce it more. The problem is that it'll start running out, and the costs of producing that, you know what I mean, as it gets down to the bottom, like when you drink a straw, you know what I mean, it costs more money to get that. And by that time, he said basically in the future, they will not have an industry because no one will need oil. China is the biggest, I don't want to say enemy. It's not an business enemy of the Middle East. They've just created a EV industry that these EVs, if you haven't paid attention, they blow ours out of the water. You can get them for like $15,000. Well, you could if they weren't. They're $20,000 because they have 100% tariff on it, but they're $10,000, $15,000 after everything's done, and lower maintenance, all these stuff, and they've just started. They've built a factory, Build Your Dreams, whatever, BYD, that I know I'm going in a long time, but I'm going to come back to it. BYD is the size of San Francisco in population and area. It's the size of San Francisco. And so, okay, see you later, buddy. So the size of San Francisco, and this is like one company. And so, and I didn't say no. He said the guy told me, who his whole bread and butter, who owned a mountain. He told me he's like in 50 years, so we're looking like 30 years. He's like the oil industry is not going to produce 100% of my country's. And I was talking about someone in one of the richest nations in the world. And he's worked in the government. He says basically, okay, get out then. And he said basically, there will be no need for it. Just think about it. Imagine putting, what's it like? Imagine like having a gas-powered flashlight. This would be, if we didn't have batteries, you'd have to have a gas-powered flashlight. Imagine a gas-powered flashlight. Come on. No, as soon as anything becomes a better technology, the old technology goes away, and that's where he explained to me. I didn't understand it fully at the time because this is 15 years ago, and I didn't see the technology increasing so fast. Literally, the Chinese BYD, they have cheaper cars, lower maintenance costs, that will last longer than our cars already. We have to save our workers. So they've given they've taxed the crap out of them, but eventually they're going to. It happened to, and I'm going to come back to Venezuela, but eventually it's basically they're going to make them. What happened in England? England tariffed like crazy to keep their auto industry, and if you know now, there's no actual British car manufacturers because they built these walls and they weren't as competitive. So it was easy, and this is what we're doing. We're creating walls, and we're less competitive because, hey, a company doesn't have to innovate as much. They don't have to compete with BYD, which literally has a factory the size of San Francisco. And that's economies of scale that we just very, very difficult to replicate. And so most likely, they're like what happened to them. They're going to destroy our industry unless we realize this now and start literally stealing technology from the Chinese now, and then copying it. Or else we're going to lose our industry. You can't tariff your way. Well, you can maybe, but Britain tried it to protect their auto industry. And look at Triumph. Maybe Triumph came back. I'm not sure, but I don't think it's made in the UK. They didn't have it about 5 years ago when I really did the research on this. There was no cars made in India. Tata Motors bought up, Range Rover and all that stuff. It's basically they destroyed their own industry. The British did. The UK destroyed their own industry by saving it for a time with tariffs. Not tariffs on certain cars. Not the same type of tariff as the Trump tariff. So yeah. Okay. Still waiting on that. I'm going to let this guy. We're going to listen to this guy for a second. While I, if you don't mind, see what he. Oh.
When the numbers are on the table, it could be another story. Let the study of this bill be guided by evidence, compassion, and prudence, so that whatever path Parliament takes will strengthen both the economic foundation and the social fabric of our country. Thank you, merci, and hi Kitahamayan.
Senator Patterson.
Honourable Senators, I move that further debate be adjourned until the next sitting of the Senate.
Honourable Senatrice Patterson.
The Honourable Senator Patterson moves, seconded by the Honourable Senator, that the debate be placed on the order paper at the next sitting of the Senate. Is it your pleasure, Honourable Senators, to adopt the motion? Carried.
Bill S-207.
Stand.
Numero 5, S-208.
Number 5, S-208. Stand.
S-213.
Stand.
Numero 7, S-2...
Number 7, S-214. Stand.
Number 8, Bill S-216.
Senator Prosper.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Colleagues, I hadn't planned on rising on this item. However, I do feel compelled to, after Senator McNair's question last week. He asked Senator McDonald a question, quote, "Once again, though, I fail to follow the train of thought as to why it is necessary to exercise the declaratory power. There is nothing that's requiring that. The funding is settled. The parties would be much better off starting the work and remediating the dikes," end quote. For me, as someone from Nova Scotia who supports this bill, I want to explain why Parliament exercising the declaratory power is important. And no, it's not related to pressuring the government for funding. It has to do with the duty to consult related to Aboriginal and treaty rights found under Section 35 of the Constitution Act 1982, and who has jurisdictional leadership regarding this duty. When I started my career decades ago, Indigenous lawyers were arguing that the Crown, which signed our treaties, was indivisible. We continue to push back against the downloading of the federal government's fiduciary duty to First Nations and other Indigenous peoples to provincial governments. We have seen that there is an inconsistent standard at the provincial level for consultation. Under its previous iteration as S-273, Chief Rebecca Knockwood of the closest impacted community, Fort Folly First Nation, better known as Almagog, testified before the Senate Transport and Communications, noting the following, quote, "Currently, there are real issues with how the government of New Brunswick undertakes consultation. Under the consultation process in New Brunswick, we are often informed that a project has been determined to have little or no impact on Aboriginal and treaty rights, or has been approved with little or no consultation with our communities. Provincial consultation to date on this project has been inadequate. Archaeological work has been conducted without full Mi'kmaq involvement. Likewise, provincial environmental impact assessment process excludes First Nations from key aspects of the process, including the Technical Review Committee. As a result of these issues, we at MTI were forced to develop our own impact assessment process, the Mi'kmaq Rights Impact Assessment, or MRIA framework. While the federal government and proponents have had no issues in following this Mi'kmaq-led impact assessment process, the province continues to refuse to recognize it. Indigenous consultation under the federal guidelines and Indigenous inclusion under the Federal Impact Assessment Act is more comprehensive than the New Brunswick process and aligns better with the MRIA process. Deep and meaningful consultation is required for this project, as well as proper Mi'kmaq Indigenous knowledge studies. For a project of this significance in our culturally significant area, we feel a federal impact assessment is necessary. We feel this bill will assist in ensuring that the federal government has a significant role in both the consultation and impact assessment process, and a greater likelihood that the process complies with the MRIA. Considering the significance of this area for the Mi'kmaq, considering that the federal government's consultation and impact assessment process is more thorough, and considering that we cannot afford to wait for the jurisdictional battle to be settled, the Mi'kmaq chiefs in New Brunswick would ask you to support.
Okay. Land transfers and stuff like that. Beautiful stuff. I think this is an act to declare the Chicago system. It's good. This is a good. I think this is a good bill forward. But I'm just going to read the article. I'm a little bit messy. Just a little sloth here. All right, so I know what's going on. Okay, Liberals to table big, bold federal budget Tuesday as Carney looks to put a stamp on the government. So it's going to be happening in about 15 minutes. I'll switch over there. So Finance Minister François-Philippe Champagne will deliver the new Liberal government's first budget. And remember, we hadn't had a budget in a while, right? Remember that last fiasco we had with the last minister? I won't even mention their name because she's out of politics, I think. Well, we'll see. I think she went to Ukraine. That will be full of what he calls generational investments to spur growth to help the country with the tariff-related economic storm. While Champagne is a minister in charge of the file, Prime Minister Mark Carney, a former central banker, is uniquely interested in financial matters and has personally promised to present a pro-growth budget that will usher Canada into a new era and define our next century. Well, let's see. Honestly, he's put a lot of these things forward. They're asking for sacrifice. It angered me, like political anger, right? You know. I was like, what are you doing? You know, you have to pull the Liberals out. The Conservatives wouldn't spend anything, and they won't get us out of this problem we've put ourselves in. And literally, we have Canada has the most free trade agreements than any other nation, and we sell 80% of our goods to one nation. That tells me it's all of these free trade deals were set up for the importer-exporter, for the wealthy class. Because what they do is they buy cheap stuff and they bring it here and they sell it. You have to have an importer-exporter license. You have to have a lawyer. Basically, you have to have a certain amount of money, income, to do this, or you're a business person. So they basically have made all these free trade deals, and it helped anyone who sells something to a average Canadian. They got a free trade deal. Hey, they can get the products cheaper now. But it wasn't helping our Canadian blue-collar workers who manufacture things, or anyone, or farmers who produce things, sell to those nations, because it hasn't happened. That's how I know, because it just hasn't happened. It's possibility because of the language barriers, and it's just difficult to expand to, say, Chile, right? It's easier just to go sell to New Jersey. Let's go sell it to Patterson, New Jersey, of course, right? So it's just the ease of thing. But what if a government is doing these free trade deals? It has to have a purpose for the people of the nation. And the what I'm saying is, they were doing these things, and it was just like, hey, look at us, we got a free trade deal, we're good. And they basically didn't help anybody but the wealthy, who didn't need. They don't need that. They didn't need extra, another extra stream of income. What as we've had since 1978. Or 77, whatever, our wages, the average person's wages has been going down. So a plumber made more in the 70s. That's weird. Now, we've had a big jump with this, but we had a huge inflation. So when it comes to inflation, we've been losing it. Well, CEOs and business people and wealthy, the people who own assets, have increased since 77. So our country was at its peak, best for everybody in the nation, around 75. When the oil crap happened. And so that's where we're at. And so these politicians are like, yeah, well, make a free trade deal. Well, the free trade deal with Chile has to come with a desk. So some farmer from Alberta is like, hey, I don't know, I'm going to sell to New Jersey, but now they're in trouble. No, but I could make more money selling it to Chile or China or whatever other country we have a free trade deal with. But I don't know how to do it. It's, you know what I mean? I don't know these people. I don't know their language. It's too hard. I'm not going to do it. So the government didn't do the follow-up to help the nation grow and build. They only helped the people who didn't need it. So this is my biggest problem with the free trade deals. I'm agreeing with the free trade deals. I think they didn't do the follow-through because they just did the golf clap. We did something. Look, now we're going to go look for another free trade deal. Well, everyone wants a free trade deal with Canada. We sell stuff to them. We're an exporting market. And we're a fair market. And so it's easiest thing to do for a politician. The harder part was to get our people to help them export to, let's dominate our canola or whatever, our soybeans market in Malaysia. So they don't grow a single soybean in Malaysia. They get it all from Canada. That's how China does it, right? That's what China did, like brakes and stuff. Anyway, I digress. We have the resources to transform our economy from one reliance to resilience. Carney told reporters Saturday after a 9-day swing through Asia designed to open up new markets for Canadian goods and services. Now that the U.S. relationship is on shaky ground, we don't need that. We have this thing as the ASEAN, Chile, all the Australia, Malaysia, Philippines. We already had to sign this free trade deal. We got the free trade deal. What we need is a desk to help our businesses and our independent people who make stuff in this country to sell to those products. And sometimes it will take a coordinated effort of companies, and that's where the government needs to help. I don't really agree with it, but we're in trouble. The country's been in trouble since '75. We've been going down. So for a time, the country needs to have a government desk to help businesses to sell things, not give them another $100 billion loan they could get down the street from RBC. This is the silliness of our nation. It's just easy to give them a loan. No, you got to get a desk, and the small operators are the ones that need to have the help assistance. And because the best thing is about small companies is they're inefficient, and so in the States they have a lot of small companies and they're inefficient, so they hire more people than a large company because they're inefficient, like for the amount of work they do. And this is a good thing because work going to people, it stays in the nation, and it's a great thing. So this is what the biggest fail of our politicians is not getting it. Premier Mo, I think, is the leader of this export desk. I really have a lot of respect for him On a lot of some things I disagree completely, but I have a lot of respect for him and his trade minister, what they've been doing since COVID and for a long time. They've been really working hard, sending their people, like it's province, sending their people their ag, they call it, right, agricultural goods, sending their trade minister out to the Dubai desk, to the Malaysian desk to sell it. Well, it needs a I believe it needs a coordinated Canadian attack, polite attack, a Canadian attack, to make sure that we dominate markets all across the nation, where we can get it away with it in a polite way and back off when we have to. But that is what we should be trying to do, so we can have a bunch of markets instead of having only one market. Understandable for the companies, not understandable for the politicians to see that it's 80% and say, well, what we've been doing, putting a lot of effort into these free trade deals, and the companies aren't benefiting. The country isn't benefiting. So why are you looking for another one? Digressing. Thanks for watching. Let's see what we got here. All right. Oh, okay. All right. There's a couple of us here. We have the resources to transform. Okay, so this is it. Okay. Through a combination of funneling public dollars into certain sectors and regulatory relief on major nation-building projects, Carney said, see, this is it, funneling public dollars into certain sectors. See, my problem is I think they need to make a proper desk, a coordinated desk that's top secret, right? Trade secrets kind of idea, high level, because it could be some practices of certain businesses. So our companies can work together and we give our companies an advantage. That's it. And the good things, if not of products that are bad or can be harmful or look bad towards the nation or anything like that. Good, probably quality Canadian products and colluding together to help us dominate other markets. And that's such a wrong word, and that's such a awful way of sounding it. I mean, like, so we can control other markets better where we have free trade deals with. And they're not in a predatory or negative way, but it's very difficult. It's very difficult to go to another nation, if anyone's ever traveled to a nation where they don't speak the language, they don't know the businesses, to go and sell your product there. You have to do it as a trade mission. And Jean Chrétien did it in China, and they brought, I think I suggested this 100 times, Carney isn't enough. First, Carney is not exciting. He probably will get one article in the third page of the head newspaper in any nation except a couple, right? He's just one guy. He's a Canadian Prime Minister. He's very powerful, very, very, but he doesn't make a splash. What Chrétien did, he brought all the people, all the king's horses and all the king's men, and they put Humpty Dumpty better together. What they did is they brought all the business leaders, and they brought a little bit of Canadian star power, some hockey players and stuff, and all the businesses and their people and the politicians together in this huge, large delegation. And they made a big splash about it in Canada before they went, so the newspapers over there picked it up, and it worked. It was only in China. And I don't necessarily think, whatever. It was the way what they did was brilliant, and it should have been copied. As soon as, like I was saying, like January, why don't we just do what Chrétien did? It was great. Except we should do it with all the nations we have a free trade deal with. Have a huge delegation, make a splash, so companies that buy soybean or whatever, that buy soy boy, they're like, oh, maybe I'll buy a Canadian. Maybe I'll call up this company. Oh, it's in their newspaper. It's in their face. You can't expect Carney could even do that. You couldn't, people are like, oh, yeah, maybe I'll buy from a Canadian company. Done. The company's, what company? You know what I mean? It just isn't going to happen. And the proof is in the pudding. At the beginning of the year, 80% of our exports went to the States. Right now, 80% of our exports go to the States. So I'm arguing about it. I'm very upset about it because we have the problem is Canada has so many more advantages than any other nation, but it's our politicians, in my view, that aren't doing. It's not that they're not working hard. I believe they're actually, but they're not doing the things to make us better. China's eating our lunch every day because their politicians are just more successful. They're shadier. Now, understandable. Like this delegation. I know nothing. But I just see which way our country is going, right? And I got ideas. This is a unique moment in our nation's history, and I'm upset about this now, but I hope I eat my words and he puts out a budget that's like, hydropower and huge, major, cheap, because hydropower is good because it's the cheap power and it lasts a long time and it's low maintenance. So it's really good. Input, output, right? It doesn't cost much for rain. And they figured out how to make these new rivers. So if you see these in California, they started it where the fish would go into the chutes. Well, they don't do that anymore. They make these like type of river so the fish can swim up it. It works natural. I know, just doesn't look totally natural. This is a unique. I'm repeating. This is a quote. This is a unique moment in our nation's history, and we need to meet the moment, and we're going to meet it together, he told reporters, after buying a new pair of shoes ahead of the budget. As per Canadian parliamentary tradition, said Champagne. Carries on. This is the kind of budget you will remember, he said. Canadians have asked us to build big, bold things. I hope he does. I really don't trust the government not to wait. I don't trust the government with spending properly. They will waste the money. But there's certain things like roads, small roads, suburban roads, that no one else will build, but everyone can benefit, like a port. One company, unless they're huge, won't build their own port. But if the country builds a port, deepwater port, well, then multiple companies can benefit that would have never got together to build the port initially. This is why we have government, to do the big things. And this country, like it or not, it's big. It's a big country. Beautiful song, by the way. It's a big, big country. And we need to do huge, large infrastructure projects, and we can do them that other nations can't. The reason why I'm so big on, so hot and bothered, hot to trot, Roan, Chappelle, for hydro is that Canada, we have the most hydro projects. Maybe Russia could beat us, but they don't have people where a lot of their rivers. But we have the most potential hydropower in the world, right? We could build tons of it cheaply, easily, and we don't have to displace people. Like, I mean, it's only like a kilometer or whatever maximum. Shores and stuff like that. It's not usually huge, and we have so many rivers where we could put this on where there's no people. Quebec is number one with this, and Quebec became a green. Most Quebecers are green because they built a huge hydro dam in the 60s. This is unbelievable to me that that's. And I'm not against oil. Oil is great, but. Both the Bloc and the Conservatives have made a series of demands that aren't expected to be met in exchange for their vote. The NDP. Okay, the Conservatives want a deficit of $42 billion or below, which that's not going to happen. Everyone thinks it's at least $70 billion. I hope it's going to be larger because I hope they're building major projects. If we build major cheap hydro dams like Quebec, I know I'm using Quebec and I'm not. But the only reason that there's an aluminum industry, which is huge, by the way, in Quebec, there's only one reason that there is one. It's because they make excess cheap power in Quebec. It won't be excess for long. AI is going to eat it up. But the power, they made too much. So they made too much power, so they sell it to industries, certain industries that they've designated for a lower rate. And so we don't own bauxite. We don't have bauxite, which is what you make aluminum out of. We don't have it in the country. We don't have much of it, or any mines at least. These Quebec, they're buying it from Brazil. They're buying the bauxite from Brazil, shipping it up to Quebec, and because aluminum takes at least 5 smelts, 5 cooks, to smelt it down, at least 5, and then when you get to the aviation, it's even more. So it's very, very intense. So they have these like very, very. It's a messy industry. If these furnaces, that we have, I just hit the button. There we go. Oh, maybe not. If the furnaces, oh, come on, were coal, or which they would, if they were the company, they'd make them out of coal or something like that. It would be a disaster zone. It would look like it would look very, very bad. It would be bad. Sorry about that. I just got to redo the camera. I don't know. I guess maybe. It would be a disaster area, and so we can do it. They can do it with electric furnaces a lot easier. And it's environmentally sound or whatever. It doesn't make a huge, like lots of like pollution and stuff like that. Well, electric furnace, right? Okay. Can you? Sorry. I'm going to put on the politics while I work on. Okay, so there have been several pre-budget announcements thus far. Okay. I just touched it slightly. Why is it not working? Sorry about the don't. There we go. Okay, so they have. Okay, here we go. Finally, thank you. Just getting a little bit upset. There are several pre-budgeted announcements, and as soon as I do this, I'm going to go over to the House of Commons. And it'll be starting. There have been several. Okay, so $9 billion on defense to be spent by the end of March. Ooh, so that's a big budget. The top general gave an apology for discrimination. I don't know. She cried. Unbecoming of an officer. You don't cry. For what I mean, it's not like I personally it didn't work with me. I was like, what are you doing crying? Like, come on, you're like a politician wouldn't cry for that, for discrimination. But it's a horrible thing. I believe if she's just sincere, should have. All the people that had discrimination against, give them cash rewards, benefit that way. Tears don't, what I mean? I bet you guarantee the people that, discriminated and had horrible things happen in the military, the money, you know what I mean? Just, yeah, thank you. I appreciate I imagine a lot appreciate it, but it's like, just show me the money. Pay me for it. Admit your guilt by giving us some cash. You know what I mean? It doesn't even have to be much, but you know what I mean? That's my thinking of it. I'm just talk can be cheap unless it's directly from the person who did it to the person who received it. That isn't cheap. If it's someone you harmed and you, like AA says, you go to that person, you apologize, and I apologize to all of you, I heard. That can be heartfelt. But someone who's a representative apologizing for things they didn't do, it doesn't carry the weight. Money with that would, though, right? And I don't know how bad it was. I just and I'm not against that minister. This is my opinion, and it stinks, right? $13 billion initially to Build Canada Homes Agency, which hasn't built a home yet. The Liberal Conservatives have been very nice about that, as it's getting running. I honestly don't expect that to do much. You don't build a house by hiring lawyers. You don't do it. It doesn't work. It will probably stop the next housing crisis in 70 years, but that'll be a lot of money, a lot of years that company or whatever founded Build Homes Canada agency will be running and it's not against the people that are running it. I hope I eat my words on this. I do, but I don't think I'm going to. $2 billion on small nuclear reactors at Darlington, already announced before. They're just re-announcing it. $5 billion for new strategic response fund. $3.6 billion over 3 years for temporary EI measures due to tariff uncertainty, which isn't enough. $1.8 billion to increase federal policing capacity. 1.8. That's it. I think every cop should have a camera with a microphone. Every cop should have, hey, Denise Batters, she's dangerous. They should have drones in there. Each cop should have a drone, like a few drones in their car that they press a button and they fly up. Right? I think they should do that. Technology is the way we go forward in policing in this country. It's always worked to the benefit of it, and I think they need to like put that one on steroids. I think there's just drones and these things can really expand, and then you also the cop and the camera part, and giving them leeway, like that cop that ran over that person. I've read, if anyone's seen that the other day, oh my God, it was horrible. But he was an idiot. I don't know him. I don't know anything. Obviously, I don't know him. But I don't know. The guy just did a stupid move. He was in a panic mode, and he let the car. It was unintentional, right? It was unintentional. Horrible, but unintentional. Shocking, actually, because they didn't just screw up once. He screwed up twice. And so there, I don't see that as charges. Like, imagine going to work and just because you're a complete idiot, you're going to go to jail. That, you know what I mean? I don't think it was intentional, right? Obviously not. He ran over one of his partners. Shouldn't even mention it, to be honest. $3.6 billion over 3 years for the temporary. Oh yeah, okay. So $370 million for new biofuel production incentive. It's not very much. Biofuels. The problem with biofuels. It's a stopgap. It's whatever. We have lots of oil. I think we should be putting more investment into our oil. Oh, okay. I got to stop this. We're going right to the House of Commons. Problem with biofuels. Biofuels are great. But they can increase the cost of food prices. What I think is what we should be more worried about is using the biofuel industry to get into our refuse, like all of our waste products and stuff like that. Having, and that type of ideas, but taking corn instead of going into people's food. They're at a suspension. It's a silence, moment of silence. So I'm just going to keep that off for the now. They're just so it hasn't started. Okay, I'm going to press play on tape. But biofuels definitely, I think there is a place for them, and as an additive, it's been in there for a long time, and it's going for. So biofuels, I think, is a good idea. They didn't put much into it, so it really isn't a huge help. $370 million will probably help one or two companies. $77 million actually should have been like $37 billion. It could have been huge. $77 million over 4 years to the CRA for trucking industry non-compliance. $660 million over 5 years for gender equality and safety, including new RCMP hires. Gender equality and safety. So double the amount into that than there is into the biofuels. $97 million over 5 years to create a foreign credential recognition action fund. Okay. Oh, okay, here we go. The moment of silence is over. Here we go. Get excited. Okay, here's the Minister of Finance. It's starting, okay? Get excited.
Speaker, pursuant to Standing Order 83-1, I would like to table in both official languages the budget documents for 2025, including the Notice of Ways and Means motion. The details of the measures are contained in these documents. Pursuant to Standing Order 83-2, I am requesting that an order of the day be designated for consideration of these motions, Mr. Speaker. And with that, I will give that to the clerk.
Here, here, here.
Monsieur le Président, honorables députés de cette Chambre, chers Canadiens, chères Canadiennes, le budget que je présente aujourd'hui arrive à un moment de profond changement, un moment pour bâtir. Mr. Speaker, the budget I present today comes at a time of profound change, a time to build. The world is undergoing a series of fundamental shifts at a speed, scale, and scope not seen since the fall of the Berlin Wall. The rules-based international order and the trading system that powered Canada's prosperity for decades are being reshaped, threatening our sovereignty, our prosperity, and our values. Long-standing supply chains and trade relationships that once ensured stable growth in this country from coast to coast to coast, and good job across our nation, and affordable products are being disrupted. Monsieur le Président, l'impact est profond. Il nuit aux entreprises canadiennes, affecte les travailleurs, perturbe les chaînes d'approvisionnement et crée une incertitude qui freine les investissements. En fait, le niveau d'incertitude est plus élevé que ce que nous avons ressenti depuis des générations.
It is a true generational shift. The challenges are great, but the opportunities for Canada are even greater.
Mr. Speaker, but the opportunities for Canada are even greater. Et c'est dans cet esprit que...
And in this spirit, today, I present to you Budget 2025. As a former finance minister, also from Shawinigan, so eloquently put it.
Humility, but also with confidence, Mr. Speaker. This is Canada.
A lot of soft flatulence going on. I haven't heard anything yet. Have you heard anything? How's my sound? Let me know.
This budget must be generational in its ambition and serve to shape our economy and our nation's future. Il n'y a pas de place pour le retrait.
There is no place for withdrawal, ambiguity, or even standing still. Only for bold and swift action.
Bold and swift action is what is needed. To weather the storm of uncertainty, we will not lower ourselves, Mr. Speaker.
I think he's
quite the opposite. We will raise them to catch the winds of economic change because we believe in Canada. Nous explorerons
We will explore new markets and sell more of the best of what Canada has to offer.
We will build here at home stronger industries, nation-building infrastructures, and millions of more homes for Canadians. We will protect what matters most, our people, our communities, and our sovereignty. And we will empower Canadians by making life more affordable, creating new career opportunities, and ensuring every generation can get ahead. This is how we win. This is how we keep winning, Mr. Speaker.
So he's basically starting off with rhetoric. And I don't mind the beginning of the speech. It's a rah-rah.
When people look back on this
rah-rah.
budget, they will be able to judge the importance of the choices that we have made. Greater autonomy is and continues to be the best approach to achieve real resilience. It is in this spirit that, through Budget 2025, we are building Canada strong. Mr. Speaker, around the world, tariffs have increased. Growth is slowing, and trade relationships are being tested. All of these constraints are being felt across the country by Canadians in their daily lives. Families are seeing this every week when they do their groceries. Renters see it when they pay their rent. Young people are sending out their resumes, but they aren't receiving any offers as a result of their efforts. In factories, in the fields, and in communities across the country, people feel the current economic challenges. Workers are facing fewer shifts, shorter hours, and in some cases, unfortunately, layoffs.
Want to grow, but uncertainty is understandably making them wait. And for many, it feels like opportunity is slipping just a little further out of reach. That's why we need to act, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, these are the realities Canadian workers and their families are facing. They are doing everything they can to keep moving forward in uncertain times. And through it all, the Canadian economy has held steady. Forecasters now expect modest GDP growth of just above 1% in 2025. C'est la résilience des Canadiens et des Canadiennes.
The resilience of Canadians is earning us the respect of our foreign partners. It is this same resilience that gives me confidence in the future. This very resilience also gives Canadians confidence in the future.
Trading partner fundamentally reshapes all of its trading relationship. There are two responses, Mr. Speaker. You can slash the deficit, hope for the best, wait for the uncertainty to unexpectedly disappear, and see if it trickles down, ever comes. That approach to balance the budget this year would have to eliminate vital social programs and all the capital investments needed for Canada's future. We chose a different path, Mr. Speaker, a path that believes in Canada, a path that invests in our country's future, a path that reinforces Canadian values, a path that makes us less resilient on our trading partner, a path that allows us to be master in our own house, Mr. Speaker. We chose Canada.
I hope he gives some goodies out
and
soon.
I hope every member of this House will choose Canada as well, Mr. Speaker. I hope they will all choose Canada, parce que nous voulons tous et toutes être.
Because we all want to be masters of our own home, Mr. Speaker.
His speech has been pretty
we
good.
We all believe in Canada, Mr. Speaker.
Speaker, when our steel, aluminum, forestry, auto, and agriculture industries were hit by U.S. tariff and trade disruptions, we did not stand by and wait for the storm to pass. We stepped in with the most comprehensive set of trade resilience measures in Canadian history, because this is who we are as Canadians, Mr. Speaker. This is who we are. When times get tough, we stand together, because we are Canadian. The government launched... The government launched the Strategic Response Fund that my colleagues have been leading, allocating $5 billion to help sectors impacted by tariffs to adapt, to diversify, and to grow. Businesses can use the fund to invest in the design of new products, retool plans to boost productivity, or offset the cost of accessing new markets. Because we want our industry to succeed. We want them to be able to make this pivot, Mr. Speaker, because we believe in our workers, we believe in our industry, we believe in our future, we believe in Canada.
I believe. Keep it coming. I was looking for some up jokes on
Nous avons également mis en
spending.
place un programme de liquidité.
We have also introduced a $1 billion liquidity relief package to help small and medium-sized businesses, because these businesses help our great country grow and they employ millions of Canadians. So this relief package will help businesses adapt, and it will include a new skills retraining program that will benefit 50,000 workers, Mr. Speaker. We believe that Canadian workers are at the very core of our strategy.
Are probably wondering today,
That's actually a pretty good one.
we will be there to help you increase your competitiveness within the Canadian market. Pour nos travailleurs de
To our aluminum workers, we will be there to help you modernize your smelters and to open up new markets.
To our auto workers, we will fight alongside you to keep our auto plants in Canada, Mr. Speaker.
120,000 auto plant workers. There's a big demand for weapons and stuff like that. And there's a possibility for some to transfer over to that as well.
And to our lumber and canola producers, we know the times are hard and we are working not only to restore your market access, Mr. Speaker, but to expand it. And the recent trip of the Prime Minister in Asia was one of them. We are going to work tirelessly to expand your market. We believe in you, we believe in your industry, and we will do what it takes to make sure that you can sell your products around the world.
All right, that's my biggest argument. I complained about this. I was just doing it a minute ago, and he addressed it. I don't know what exactly what that will
These
entail,
strategic sectors are at the forefront of this generational change. We will ensure they are strong, resilient, and ready to lead our economic transition from dependence to resilience.
We're going to move this economy, Mr. Speaker, to be more resilient. We're going to move from reliance to resilience because we want Canada to succeed not only today, but for generations to come. We're going to move from uncertainty to prosperity, Mr. Speaker, because we understand that investing in Canada is the best way to ensure prosperity for generations to come.
Yeah, okay, sounds good. The details will come out.
Mr. Speaker, Budget 2025 is our response. It is for all Canadians. It is a plan for resilience. Budget 2025 is rooted in confidence, focused on results, and designed to ensure that Canada not only weathers this storm, but emerges even stronger from it.
The words of a previous finance minister, when in 1995 he presented his budget, and he said at the time, our very way of life as Canadians is being tested. And there are times in the progress of people when fundamental choices must be made and a new course charted. For Canada, Mr. Speaker, this is one of those times. Et je dirais, Monsieur le Président, que nous...
Mr. Speaker, I would say that today we are also facing a unique moment in the history of our great country. The Prime Minister has called on our country to look beyond today's challenges and to embark on a path that will redefine Canada for generations to come. Why? Because we believe in Canada, Mr. Speaker. The Prime Minister asked each of us to focus on what we can control and to take bold, ambitious action.
It's in the strength of Canadians, Mr. Speaker. I have confidence in our ability as a nation to meet the moment. I have confidence that together we can build Canada, protect our way of life, and empower Canadians like never before, because we believe in Canada, Mr. Speaker. It is interesting to note, Mr. Speaker, and all Canadians who are watching and those with us today would know, Canada has what the world needs and what the world increasingly wants, Mr. Speaker. It goes from our product to our technology, to our values. Mr. Speaker, Canada is inspiring the world. We are an energy superpower in both clean and conventional energy. Nous sommes l'un des principaux.
We are among the top producers of critical minerals and a world leader in artificial intelligence.
Nous avons
We have unmatched market access, as we are the only country in the G7 with free trade agreements with every other G7 nation.
Nous avons les gens.
We have the people, we have the resources, we have the stability necessary to prosper and to compete in the new economy before us.
Ainsi,
so, Canada enters this period of transformation from a position of strength.
Speaker, the world is changing, but Canada is strong. We're going to build Canada strong together. We're going to empower Canadians, and we're going to defend our sovereignty, Mr. Speaker. Canadians have done it before. We will do it again.
Yeah, and it's like I said before, in the 60s, we had a major infrastructure. I hope that they do it this time, and don't listen to conservatives about
Canada
not spending
also
enough.
has the lowest net debt to GDP ratio in the G7, and the federal debt to GDP ratio will remain stable over the budget horizon. We also have one of the lowest deficits in the G7 and one of the strongest fiscal positions in the world. Yes, Mr. Speaker, we have a strong fiscal position, a strong base to work for, a strong base to invest, Mr. Speaker. And we must use this fiscal power to make generational investment because we believe in Canada. And as the managing director of the International Monetary Fund recently said, both Germany and Canada recognize that in this very testing time, they need to use their fiscal space. In the case of Canada, the Canadian authorities have been very decisive to take action in the context of changing relations with their main trading partner. Mr. Speaker, Canada is recognized on the world stage as a country with the fiscal capacity to invest, to grow its economy, to invest in its people, and to protect its sovereignty. That recognition matters because it affirms something fundamental about this country. When times are difficult, we do not retreat. We advance. We invest, Mr. Speaker, and that's what Budget 2025 is all about.
Rolling barrage. I'll tell you, that last part gave me a little bit of a... he's doing a good job. I really like... I hope they spend a lot,
Budget
though.
2025 is a plan to catalyze investments from provinces, territories, municipalities, indigenous communities, and the private sector. With this plan, in 5 years, we will enable $1 trillion in total investment in this country, Mr. Speaker. Enable $1 trillion of investment.
Okay, what? What?
Although the conservative are silent,
I don't know.
They support that, Mr. Speaker.
$1 trillion.
I know that they will take the break week to go around and tell their constituent how great we're going to see this country and all the investment we're going to see. Hear, hear. And I know in their heart I can see them.
Canada is one of the best places in the world to invest, and we are going to make it even better.
Oh, it's a
This
Ghana.
fiscal
It's a Ghana.
strength
It's not a.
allows
it's not
us
a,
to make historic investments, not only today, but also for future generations.
To Canadians who feel the strain of these times, our message is clear. We will not back down. We will be there for you now and for as long as it takes. We will do what Canadians do best in times of need. We look after one another. We help each other. That's the Canadian way. That's our way, Mr. Speaker.
Meeting this great challenge, Mr. Speaker, requires both ambition and discipline. We need to be ambitious in our investments and rigorous in our spending. And that's why this budget charts a new course for Canada's public finances. because Canadians expect their government to achieve results. And to get there, we must spend less on operations so we can invest more in Canada's future. First, a new capital budgeting framework, separating our day-to-day spending from the investments that build our future. This reform will allow Canadians to better understand where their money goes, and it will ensure that each dollar helps strengthen our productivity.
Mr. Speaker, we will make capital investment a national priority. Mieux budgéter.
Better budgeting also means presenting the budget at the best time. From now on, the federal budget will be presented in the fall, aligning with the construction season and better supporting provinces, municipalities, as well as contractors in the delivery of their projects.
To build this country, and we have a lot to do, and we're going to do it together, Mr. Speaker. And what you see in this budget and in this Prime Minister
that was a good one.
Is that we have a roadmap, Mr. Speaker, to build Canada strong. We understand that there's things we need to do on our side to make sure we can build like never before, and this is the plan to do it. Second, it's all about discipline. The Prime Minister has been clear. Canada's new government will spend less so we can invest more. Mr. Speaker, our budget puts forward $60 billion in saving over 5 years, Mr. Speaker. Canadians have been tightening their belt for quite some time, and it's only natural that we put our house in order as well. And we're going to make sure to the exercise we've done, Mr. Speaker, we found these savings, we did the hard work, we took the tough decision, but you know what? That's what Canadians expect from us. We have a strong mandate. They tell us, do what must be done. That's what we did, Mr. Speaker, and we're going to continue to do. So let me be clear. We are protecting the vital services. While we did that, Mr. Speaker, let me be very clear for all the Canadians watching at home. We are protecting the vital services that you rely on, including childcare, dental care, farmer care, because those are essential and vital for families across our nation.
Okay, so they're keeping all the services. They're just downsizing.
This is who we are as Canadians, Mr. Speaker, and we're going to remain true to our values.
And we are making responsible and pragmatic choices to reduce inefficiencies and focus government initiatives on our core priorities.
Called the Government Comprehensive Expenditure Review, we are focusing investment on initiatives that meet their objectives and complement rather than duplicate services delivered by other levels of government. Mr. Speaker, we have looked at how we can streamline programs, how we can right-size, how can we use technology, how can we use AI with one goal in mind to provide better service to Canadians, to be more efficient, because Canadians deserve the best service from their government, and we will deliver. Mr. Speaker, we will cut red tape, we will digitize services and make them faster, simpler, and easier to access.
We are encouraging the adoption of new technologies across government, including Made in Canada sovereign AI tools through a new digital transformation office. Because, Mr. Speaker, we understand the potential of this digital transformation, and Canada will be both a global leader in this and in service delivery.
A more effective government that can deliver smarter, faster, and more effective services to Canadians. Since 2019, the federal public service population has grown at a rate which is far greater than the Canadian population, Mr. Speaker. We must get the size of our public service back to a sustainable level that is keeping with best practices. But as we are, Mr. Speaker, we will do that with fairness and compassion because we appreciate the work of every civil servant in this country. We appreciate their service. We appreciate their work. We value their contribution to our country. And once we do that, Mr. Speaker, we will make our tax system fairer. Third, we need clear fiscal anchors to provide the predictability and clarity to the world and to Canadians. We will balance day-to-day operating spending with revenues by 2028, 2029, shifting the budget towards investments that grow the economy. Mr. Speaker, this is a pivotal moment in Canada's history. We're going to make sure that the dollar that people entrust in us will be invested to grow Canada. We will maintain a declining deficit to GDP ratio, ensuring that the discipline today while investing in our collective future.
The measures proposed in Budget 2025 put us on the right path to achieve our investment goals. Mr. Speaker, we will create a business environment that attracts an unprecedented flow of private capital into the energy, infrastructure, housing, and defense sectors. Mr. Speaker, this budget is one of investment, generational investment for this generation and future generations. Mr. Speaker, this is because we believe in Canada. Our investments will focus on our economic success and focus on productivity, because productivity means doing more with less, because that's the best way we can improve the lifestyles of Canadians. The 2025 budget will not only accelerate construction in housing and infrastructure, but across the country. It will also strengthen Canada's position as a fiscally competitive jurisdiction and one of the best places in the world to invest.
Canada is a great place to invest, but together with Budget 2025, we're going to make it even greater, Mr.
So they're making it better for investment. $1 trillion investment.
Canada is the place to be. Canada is the place to invest. Canada is the place to grow, Mr. Speaker. And we're proud to serve Canadians. Monsieur le Président.
Mr. Speaker, budgets are not about doing everything. They're about what's necessary and doing it well. We're putting forward a firm, fair, and results-driven plan, the kind of reform Canadians are asking for and the kind that's always served our country well.
Plan will invest $280 billion over 5 years in capital to strengthen Canada's productivity, competitiveness, and resilience. Wow. On a cash basis, this is an historic investment of $450 billion, Mr. Speaker, in Canada.
That's huge. Now we need to get the parsing of this. Will take days to parse out, but $500 billion will give the incentive for investors to come into our country. That's amazing.
We believe in Canada. We believe in Canadians. We believe in our workers. We believe in our future, Mr. Speaker.
These generational investments will drive growth in every region, Mr. Speaker, and create good middle-class jobs, the kind of jobs that allow young people and families to plan for the future with confidence.
Our generational investment will focus on 4 key priorities. Housing, to restore affordability and opportunity. Infrastructure, to connect Canadians and accelerate growth. Defense and security, to protect our sovereignty and our communities. Productivity and competitiveness, to lead and make Canada an innovation powerhouse, the innovation powerhouse of the 21st century.
Innovation, I don't know, is that going to be with universities and businesses? That's the one that I really want to know about. But this really does sound good. I'm actually happy about it.
And these are not abstract priorities. They are the foundations of a stronger, more ambitious and competitive Canada, because we believe in Canada. Mr. Speaker, our task now is to turn our fiscal strength into national purpose. For generations, together, Canadians have undertaken major projects that have connected our regions, energized our industries, and defined our identity. For more than 1 century, Mr. Speaker.
The Economy Act adopted last June continues that tradition, a very proud tradition. It removed barriers to internal trade, accelerate approvals for major projects, and strengthens the economic union that binds our province and territories together. We are completing the unfinished work of Confederation, Mr. Speaker. We are going to complete the unfinished work of Confederation, ensuring that wherever a product is made in Canada, it can be sold in Canada, where trade and opportunity flow freely across provincial lines. Mr. Speaker, this is about Canada. If you build something in one part of the country, you ought to be able to sell it across the country, because we believe in Canada.
Yeah, that's a good one. You know, use our own markets instead of export all over.
Good news, our government won't stop there, but also launch the next generation of nation-building projects. Highways, airstrips, ports, electrical grids, and digital corridors will define the next century of Canadian growth. And thanks to these investments, we will connect regions, strengthen supply chains across the country, and create hundreds of thousands of high-paying jobs in every region of this big country.
Structure Fund, Mr. Speaker, will expand possibilities and opportunities like never before in Canada's north, Mr. Speaker. We should all be proud of Canadian. We're going to make historic investment in Canada's north. This is a great moment for the country.
Like, you can't expect him to give the details, but this is like the $500 billion he's spending is perfect. The Conservatives should be happy because they know mistakes will be made, and they will be able to capitalize on them.
Infrastructure in communities all across Canada with the new Build Communities Strong Fund, Mr. Speaker. As we build million more homes, we'll need infrastructure like roads to build new neighborhoods. This fund will help build that. New neighborhoods will lead to new communities across our country that will want recreational and athletic center. This fund will help build that. Wow. And the new communities will need new hospital. This fund will help build that. This fund will build Canada strong. This fund will build our community strong. This fund will build Canada strong, Mr. Speaker.
I don't know. I feel a little bit like patriotic. This is like the best budget I've ever heard.
And something I'm very proud of, and I think the Prime Minister would join me in that, we will do all this by being our own best customer to the new Buy Canadian policy. It's about time that we put Canadian suppliers first.
It's actually a really, really good budget. I did not expect this quality from him. I expected to have I have a bunch of Chihuahua jokes. I'm not going to say them. He's doing his job.
When the government buys, Canadian suppliers will be our first choice whenever possible. Full stop. Because we believe in Canada. We will use
still made by our workers in Hamilton and Sault Ste. Marie.
We will use aluminum cast in Saguenay-Lac-Saint-Jean, Bécancour, and Kitimat, and we will use softwood lumber cut in Thunder Bay, Prince George, and even in my region of Latuque.
Workers, we will support our country.
Yeah. He's like, sit down, I want to sit.
Mr. Speaker, I'll give you an example. Yesterday in Saint-Tite, a small rural city in my riding, I visited Boulay Boots, a family business that has been making boots since 1933. I even had the opportunity to build part of the shoes that I'm proudly wearing today with the help of many skilled workers. A reminder of the craftsmanship and pride that make the Canadian manufacturing industry so strong. Mr. Speaker, The shoes I proudly wear today are the same ones worn by RCMP officers.
The Magnum boots, there's a Magnum boot that you can get Canadian made. It's like 3 ounces lighter than a running shoe. Beautiful boot. They don't last long, but they're a great boot if you got to wear steel toe and shank and all that all the time. I think it's a good speech. I know you guys keep leaving and don't like it, but I think it's a good speech.
These shoes have been made in Canada by Canadian for Canadians. That's the way to go, Mr. Speaker. That's how you build a Canada strong.
And that's what Buy Canadian is all about. Good jobs, resilient communities, and pride in what we're building together.
It's all about good jobs. It's all about resilient communities in our cities and in rural communities across our nation. And this is about pride in what we build, pride in Canada, pride in our workers. That's how you build a strong country. Mr. Speaker, Canada has a legacy of builders. We are a nation of builders. That same spirit of building at home has defined Canada for generations. We have done this before. Back in 1945, just after the war, Canada had to do big things. A so-called, at the time, Minister of Everything, the great CDL bank on the boundless potential of Canada to make big change in our country. He was not afraid to bet big on Canadians. Neither we are, Mr. Speaker, because we believe in Canada. This budget is guided by the strong conviction that Canada must remain a nation of builders, of infrastructure and of innovation, of trust in public institutions and hope for generations to come. This nation knows how to build. We built the Canadian Pacific Railway in 1885, allowing our country to be connected from coast to coast and supporting trade across the prairies. We built the St. Lawrence Seaway, more recently in 1959, creating a deep water route from the Great Lakes to the Atlantic Ocean. Et plus récemment, nous avons construit les...
And recently, we built the James Bay Hydroelectric Facility in 1985, providing abundant clean energy to power Canadian industries and enabling Canada to become one of the world's top producers of renewable hydroelectric energy. Mr. Speaker.
Then now China's crushing us, but we have the potential.
Generation has taken on its share of the work and left the next generation stronger for it. We will do it again because we believe in Canada. Hear, hear.
I know you guys may not like it, but it's a damn good speech. This is good for the Conservatives because I think it'll help Canada. And there's going to be all kinds of things that they'll find wasted spending on silly things. And the Conservatives will have lots of
$115 billion
stuff to
in
throw.
infrastructure over 5 years. We will meet the moment. That's what Canadians expect from their government. They know what's going on. They want us to meet the moment, and we'll meet that moment. And we will build the backbone of Canada's next economy. Our task is simple, but it's profound. To turn plans into projects, to turn projects into careers, and to turn careers into prosperity, Mr. Speaker. That's what we are committed to do. That's what we will do with Canadians across the nation. And to do so, we will do that in a way that protects our future, that also protects our nature, and also protect our core values. Building a true partnership with Indigenous people whose stewardship and knowledge of the land continue to guide us today. Because we do not just build for ourselves.
He's not used to being clapped out. You can see he's a little bit... I was on a roll.
We do not build just for ourselves. We build for those who will follow us. I am often reminded of the 7-generation principle. Rooted in Indigenous teachings, a reminder that every decision we take must consider its impact on future generations. Mr. Speaker, we will build Canada strong, but we will build with Canadian values.
Man, I'm telling you, I was ready. Lots of Chihuahua jokes. I am not going to say a great speech. His best speech.
Mr. Speaker, a strong country
Never mind.
invests not only in
I
its
agree
economy,
with what
but
is
also
happening.
in its identity. Over the past year, Canadians have shown what Canada is truly made of. When global uncertainty tested us, we looked to each other. People asked where their food was grown and chose to buy from local farmers and producers. Families traveled across the country and rediscovered its beauty from coast to coast to coast. Communities rallied around Canadian businesses, creators, and workers. That, Mr. Speaker, is what it means to be Canadian, to stand up for one another, to build together, and to take pride in what we make, grow, and create here at home. That is what it means to be Canadian, Mr. Speaker, and that is why we are here to defend Canada. We are a bilingual, diverse, and compassionate country, shaped by reconciliation, equality, and respect. Mr. Speaker, we believe in a strong Canada. Mr. Speaker, our government is investing heavily to help Canadians get ahead.
I think this is something that speaks to everyone. Every young people in the country, every family around the country, everyone listening today. Canada faces a steep housing supply gap that has threatened affordability. And our minister has been doing great work to make sure we have more supply and continue to do so. We need to make sure that, Canadians across the nation can find a home. And because when they find a home, this is the best way to build their lives. And therefore, we want to be there for them. Budget 2025 is, Mr. Speaker, the most ambitious housing plan since the Second World War. This is what we're delivering for Canadians.
I want to see what it is, the whole plan, before I get excited about it. I think it's going to have to $100 billion minimum. I calculated roughly.
The moment calls for it, and we are meeting the moment, Mr. Speaker. The Prime Minister has been clear. We need to build in this country. We need to build faster. We need to build bigger. We need to build now. We need to build Canada strong. We have put in this budget record investment of $13 billion over 5 years in our flagship home building initiative, the Build Canada Homes. And I'm sure Canadians across the country understand that, because this will be making sure that we build at speed and scale that we have not seen in generations. And we will build, Mr. Speaker, we will double the pace of housing construction over the next decade, while we create a new industry, when we will be using Canadian technology, Canadian workers, and Canadian lumber. We will use Canadian workers to build Canada with Canadian material. This is what we're going to do, Mr. Speaker, because we believe in Canada. And we will improve affordability and create careers in the skilled trades, because as we build this country, Mr. Speaker, young people will see that the dream they have of home ownership will become within reach again. That's what we want to do for future generation, because you know what? Every home built is a step toward a more affordable and a more confident Canada.
Mr. Speaker, affordability isn't just about housing. It's about making life easier for Canadians and reducing everyday costs while protecting the programs families depend on. Canadians elected us to take bold action to help them improve their quality of life quickly.
And we will continue to do. The very first thing that this Prime Minister did for Canadians was to cut tax for 22 million Canadians. That is the first thing we did. First thing we did. And then we brought down gas prices by 18 cents per liter when we canceled the consumer carbon price. Yes. See, even the Conservatives are cheering, Mr. Speaker. And they should be cheering about that as well, because we made permanent the National School Food Program, helping 100,000 children each year. I know in the heart they support it, Mr. Speaker. Hey, Monsieur le Président.
And Mr. Speaker, we launched automatic federal benefits, reaching 5.5 million low-income Canadians to ensure that no one gets left behind. We are going to strengthen competition in the telecommunications and banking sectors in order to drive down costs.
These are practical measures that make life more affordable today and build confidence in tomorrow. Because when Canadians can afford a home, when Canadians can raise a family, when Canadians can plan for the future, our entire country grows stronger. Because
prosperity is only meaningful when it's shared and when all Canadians can see themselves in the promise of this country.
Budget is that every Canadian should feel that there's something for them. Because it's not only about today, it's about future generation. It's about building for them. It's about making sure that we'll have a very strong country for generations to come. And as the Prime Minister has said, there can be no prosperity without security. Let me repeat, there can be no prosperity without security. And Mr. Speaker, in that vein, I am sure that every member, and I will look across the aisle and I look in the eyes of every member of this House, every member in this House would agree that we do need to protect our people, our communities, and our country. Every Canadian expects every member of this House to be there for them. When it comes to security and our sovereignty, Mr. Speaker, we all should be rising and defend what we're proposing. Because, Mr. Speaker, a confident nation that protects its sovereignty at home and its interest abroad through strength, stability, and partnership with allies, we share our values. This is what we're doing, Mr. Speaker.
And with $30 billion over 5 years, Budget 2025 represents the largest defense investment in decades.
Mr. Speaker, yes, let's share our people. I have even more good news, Mr. Speaker. We will meet our 2% NATO commitment this year. We will modernize NORAD. We will reinforce our Arctic defense. And we will equip our brave men and women of the Canadian Armed Forces with the infrastructure and technology that they need to safeguard our nation. And we will do that because we believe in Canada. With our new Defense Investment Agency and Defense Industrial Strategy, we will build up Canada's defense industry, strengthening Canadian businesses and supporting Canadian workers and creating good union jobs, Mr. Speaker, across our country. Our work on
those are
defense
real
will
big union jobs.
strengthen
Defense,
Canadian
you have to have a
resources.
high standard.
It will strengthen Canadian communities in the North, working with our Inuit and First Nation partners across our country by building dual-use infrastructure like ports and runways to make sure that every community, when we invest, can benefit, Mr. Speaker.
This is like a construction person's wet dream budget. Because all he's talking about is build, build, build. I love it.
In sectors like aerospace, shipbuilding, cybersecurity, and AI. We're going to hire 1,000 new Border Services officers and 1,000 new RCMP officers to secure our borders and keep our communities safe. Finally, by investing in law enforcement and justice reform, we will tackle organized crime, gun violence, and auto theft. We're also going to invest and continue with passion and determination, as my colleague, the minister responsible is doing the important work with the provinces and territories to end gender-based violence. My colleague is working hard on that, and we are going to support her. We are going to keep supporting her.
Because every Canadian should feel safe, Mr. Speaker. And I want to commend the leadership of my colleague. She's extraordinary. She knows who she is, but I cannot pronounce her name in the House. But she knows who she is because she's been there and leading the way, Mr. Speaker, to make sure that, we invest and that we continue the important work across our nation. Alors que nous établissons des...
As we strengthen our security partnerships, it's essential that we also deepen our economic partnerships. In order to build a stronger future, we have to increase trade, innovate faster, and play a leadership role in clean and conventional energy. Mr. Speaker, trade has always been one of Canada's strengths, connecting our population, our resources, and our industries to the rest of the world. But too much of that trade depends on a single partner.
We are launching a trade diversification strategy supported by a trade diversification corridors fund to expand Canada's reach, double our overseas export within a decade, which will unlock $300 billion in new opportunities for Canadian business and Canadian workers. This is good news if you're a small and medium-sized business. This is good news if you're an exporter. This is good news because now you see we're going to expand our market. We're going to bring what Canada has to offer to the world.
We are going to strengthen ports, railways, and ports of entry. We will reduce bottlenecks, and we will open faster routes to global markets. Because when Canadian businesses are competitive and successful abroad, Canadian workers and communities prosper right here at home.
Mr. Speaker, Canada, I think we can agree on, all of us can agree on that, is the best place to live. Canada is the best place to live. And it's the reason why top talent from around the world want to come here, because they see opportunities and possibilities to contribute to cutting-edge research in our country. With our flagship international talent attraction strategy of more than $1.7 billion, we will make sure that the best and brightest continue to choose Canada to innovate, to invent, and to grow our industry, Mr. Speaker. The best and brightest will come here in Canada. This is how you build a Canada strong, Mr. Speaker, by making a generational investment of $115 billion over 5 years in measures that will drive productivity and competitiveness. We will supercharge growth in Canada and become the strongest economy in the G7 because we believe in Canada. Let me be clear to all the Canadians watching at home tonight. Productivity is not about working harder. It's about working smarter. It's about working smarter. It's about how well we mobilize ideas, how well our workers, and how well we can mobilize workers, investment, and innovation to generate growth. It's what drives up the wages in our country, improves living standard, and strengthens public services, Mr. Speaker.
For too long, Canada's productivity has been lagging, a challenge we can and must overcome.
Intelligence will be the defining technology of our time, just like electricity was in the last century. L'intelligence artificielle va jouer un rôle.
AI will play a key role along with quantum and other advanced technologies to put Canada on a path of sustained growth.
It's the very first country in the world to have an AI national strategy and an AI quantum strategy. We know how to lead. We have some of the best researchers, and some of them have won even Nobel Prize, Mr. Speaker. We have the brain, we have the capacity, we have the will. We will lead, Mr. Speaker, because we believe in Canada. Productivity and innovation powerhouse, Mr. Speaker, through a number of measures. The first is our productivity super deduction to create the right climate for businesses to invest in new machinery, equipment, and technology. A bold expansions of projects of national interest in artificial intelligence, in clean technology, and in advanced manufacturing. We will turn Canadian innovation into industrial strength. And we will enhance tax incentives for Canadian builders to conduct research and development in this country and make it seamless for them to apply to these essential tax credits that will drive innovation and productivity. Mr. Speaker, this budget 2025 is about productivity and competitiveness. This is about a roadmap for Canada to be the place to invest. It's already great. We're going to make it greater together. Obviously, budget can seem, and numbers in budget can seem a bit abstract for people watching and wondering what it means to them. But let me make it very concrete. As I said earlier, this budget will unleash $1 trillion in total investment over the next 5 years. That would boost average wage in Canada by some $3,000 a year, Mr. Speaker. That's what it means for workers. That's what it means for families. That's what it means for Canadians. It would add $15 billion to federal revenues that can support healthcare, lower your taxes, and pay down Canada's debt. We chose Canada. We will make Canada strong because we believe in Canada. Throughout our history, Mr. Speaker, we have opened our doors to the world. We have always welcomed those fleeing the most difficult situations, those who seek to study at our world-class universities, and those willing to share their expertise and drive innovation in Canada. Those who wanted to contribute to Canada. Mr. Speaker, we are taking back control over the immigration system and putting Canada on a trajectory to bring immigration back to sustainable levels, allowing us to fulfill the promise of Canada to those who call it home. Our plan will restore control, will provide clarity and consistency to the immigration system while maintaining compassion in our choices and driving competitiveness in our economy. Notre plan va permettre d'assurer un meilleur contrôle.
Our plan will restore control over our immigration system while maintaining an approach based on our Canadian values.
Competitiveness. L'action climatique n'est pas seulement une obligation.
Climate action is more than just a moral duty. It is economically necessary. In order to foster competitiveness and growth, we must be a leader in the low-emission economy. Our climate competitiveness strategy turns Canada's natural wealth, like our critical minerals and clean energy, into lasting prosperity. Reducing our emissions is essential to protecting the competitiveness of Canada's energy sectors. We are introducing a comprehensive suite of clean economy investment tax credits, measures that are already generating billions of dollars in private capital for projects in hydrogen, carbon capture, and clean electricity.
Mr. Speaker, Canada is the place to invest, but we understand also that this is not only the right thing to do, but it's the smart thing to do. And I want to commend the work of my colleagues who have been leading the effort on that, because these investments will allow us to modernize our networks. They will allow us to have projects of national interest, and they will also make sure that we connect Canada with our electricity network. Monsieur le Président, devenant un chiffre de file mondial.
Mr. Speaker, by becoming a global leader in clean technology and clean energy, Canada can strengthen its competitive advantage, and Canada can also help our industries thrive in the global economy.
Talk about our youth, Mr. Speaker, because our youth is the future of this nation. Nous avons au Canada les travailleurs les plus
In Canada, we have the most skilled and talented workers, as well as the most educated workforce in the world. We can all be very proud of that.
And I know my colleagues join me. We know that it's because of the talent, the expertise, the dedication of our workers that Canada wins. They are the best worker in the world. That's why you see investment. Every day they go to work. And obviously, Mr. Speaker, it's thanks to their service, their service to our nation, their talent, that we can succeed, and we will continue to work with them to make Canada the place to invest. Le budget 2025 est
Budget 2025 expands learning, training, and growth opportunities for young people.
Il crée des nouvelles.
Budget 2025 creates new pathways for careers in construction, in clean energy, and in advanced manufacturing.
Il est essentiel que nous donnions.
It is essential that we give the next generation the confidence and skills needed to succeed.
Speaker, when we talk about youth and the future generation, I think every member in this House should pay attention because they are the future of our country.
It's about the last generation, but this generation coming up for education, it's just a simple thing. More people, more jobs than work.
Extend the tax credit
This looks
to
good.
personal support workers who have been doing work, and they're always there for our people and enhance labor mobility. Mr. Speaker, Canadian workers will drive Canada's economic transformation with new skills and training, and they will seize the exciting and high-paying careers and good union jobs that it will create. In the words of the Canadian Labour Congress, these measures signal a shift towards putting workers at the heart of Canada's economic strategy. We should all be proud, Mr. Speaker. Workers will always be at the heart of our economic strategy. This is how we give Canadians the tools they need to shape the future. This is how we build Canada strong. En conclusion, Monsieur le Président.
To conclude, Mr. Speaker, the budget that I am tabling today is our framework for Canada's future. It is a roadmap to prosperity and resilience.
It all comes down to a choice between two visions. One vision of resignation, a vision that would scale back the vital support Canadians rely on, make it harder for families to find a home, and leave our country more vulnerable, poorer, and dependent. And another vision, one rooted in confidence in Canadian, and in the belief that by making generational investments today, we can build lasting prosperity for tomorrow. By putting more money in people's pocket, by ensuring every Canadian can retire with dignity, by making the dream of homeownership a reality once again, by building the infrastructure our city needs to grow, by keeping our community safe for our children and our parents. That is the path we choose, Mr. Speaker. Right, that is the path of Budget 2025. Yes.
Okay, that's a long golf clap now he's going to get. Now they should be doing the cheers. Oh, he's not done.
Mr. Speaker, it's a good sign. It's a good sign. It's a good sign. Budget 2025 makes our choice clear. We choose confidence over resignation. We chose to empower Canadians to build this country together and protect what we hold dear. Monsieur le Président, il s'agit d'une question.
Mr. Speaker, this is about confidence in ourselves, in our capacity to adapt, and in the promise of this great country.
That builds, protect, and empower. It's about moving from reliance to resilience and from uncertainty to prosperity. Let's seize the moment. Let's build Canada strong because we are and will always be the true north, strong and free. Vive le Canada!
Yeah, vive le Canada. Yeah, it was, I know, hey, you know, we all want to smash on the Liberals and this and that. I want the country to succeed more than I want to mock a politician. it's fun mocking politicians. He did a good job today. I had a whole slew of jokes I won't say in honor of a good budget speech. The details, we'll see how good it is. But $500 billion in investment and saying we're going to get $1 trillion total investment in Canada in the next 5 years is the big talking point. $1 trillion. Calgary East.
Questions and comments? Questions
Calgary
and comments?
East. No questions or comments? Or is it just because it's chaotic? Oh, no. You standing up. Oh.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I thank the Minister of Finance for his speech. It was as long as a speech by Fidel Castro would have been. Now, the minister says that this is a generational budget. That
was funny. He called him Castro.
There will be $115 billion spent on infrastructure, but then when you really get into the numbers, there won't even be $2 billion in new infrastructure spending per year, despite the fact that the deficit is incredibly high. Is this what he means by generational investment? Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The Honourable Minister of Finance. Mr. Speaker, I have the utmost respect for my colleague. My answer is yes, of course this is a generational investment budget. I know that Quebecers are watching. And for the first time, Mr. Speaker, through our infrastructure fund, there will also be funding earmarked for health infrastructure. That's something that Quebec has asked us for. They asked us to invest in healthcare, in clinics, and in hospitals, so that every Quebecer and every Canadian can have access to modern infrastructure, Mr. Speaker. We have answered Quebec's call. We have answered the call of Quebecers. We're doing what Canadians have asked for. Mr. Speaker, our infrastructure investment plan is generational. It will make our communities stronger, and we should all be very proud of that, Mr. Speaker.
So his point was it wasn't enough money, and that may be the case.
Canadians. The deficit is a massive $80 billion this year. More inflation, higher costs. The Prime Minister...
The honourable member for Calgary East from the top, please.
Numbers don't lie, Mr. Speaker. The Liberals have sacrificed the future of young Canadians. The deficit is a massive $80 billion this year. More inflation, higher costs. The Prime Minister promised he would spend less and again broke his promise and is spending more. He's forcing young Canadians to sacrifice more so he can spend more. After 10 years of this Liberal government, housing costs have doubled. Food bank usage has doubled. Youth employment is the lowest it's been in 25 years. The cost on the interest of this government's debt is more than GST revenues or what goes to provinces in healthcare transfers. And today, the finance minister had a choice to make. Food prices could have came down. They could have been cheaper, but again, he refused to do this. The Liberals kept in place their industrial carbon tax, their food packaging tax, the clean fuel standard, and added $18 billion of inflationary fuel to the fire. Why did the finance minister leave in place Liberal hidden food taxes and force higher food costs on single mothers, seniors, and young Canadians?
The Honourable Minister of Finance.
Mr. Speaker, we made a clear choice. Which shows Canadian, Mr. Speaker. That is the thing. I know the budget has many pages. Maybe my colleague missed a chapter, Mr. Speaker. But let me help him because we have a bit of time. Mr. Speaker, we made the choice to invest in Canadians. We made the choice to protect and build our communities. We made the choice to invest in our young people. We made the choice to invest in our worker. We made the choice to invest in housing. We made the choice to invest in infrastructure. We made the choice to invest in productivity and competitiveness. We made the choice to invest in our defense, Mr. Speaker. And I hope that they will see and their consumer will be watching? Will they make the choice to invest in Canadians as well? On this side of the House, the answer is clear, Mr. Speaker. We will take no lessons from the Conservative, but we'll take lessons from history.
The Honourable Member for Richmond-Arthabasca. Mr. Speaker, even ratings agencies are now sounding the alarm. For the first time in 30 years, do you know what, Mr. Speaker? Quebec's credit rating has been downgraded. Why? Because investment spending is beyond what Quebecers can afford. Do you know what else? This Liberal government is doing exactly the same thing, with capital spending beyond the ability of what Canadians can pay for. This government has already swiped our children's credit cards, our grandchildren's credit cards, and now even our great-grandchildren's credit cards. After 10 years of Liberal deficits, the Liberals have mortgaged the future of an entire generation. Canadians have had enough. Young people have lost hope. How long will this government continue to dig itself deeper into debt on the backs of our children to finance its inflationary spending? The Honourable Minister of Finance. Mr. Speaker, all right. Let's give them a chance to understand what we're saying. There is a difference between operating expenditures and investment, and he should be happy. Everyone should be happy that we will be investing in infrastructure. There may even be investments in health infrastructure, Mr. Speaker. The plan we are putting forward today is an investment plan. It is a generational, once-in-a-generation budget, once-in-a-generation investment. Mr. Speaker, we hope that Canadians tuning in at home understand that we need to invest in our prosperity for the future. We need to invest in our young people, in our workers, in our industries, and in Canada. We must invest in Canada because on this side of the House, Mr. Speaker, we believe in Canada. The Honourable Member for Repentigny. Since this government has been in office, they have backtracked on all sorts of climate engagement. There's no more money for EVs. They're investing in pipeline projects, liquefied natural gas projects. They told us that we would have a climate competitiveness strategy. There's only $189 million in the budget, and only a small bit of that is for critical minerals, so there's only $4 million left for their climate strategy. Are they quite literally giving up the fight against climate change? The Honourable Minister of Finance. Mr. Speaker, I understand that there's a lot of information in the budget. It's a lot for my colleague to read today. There is an entire chapter on climate competitiveness because, Mr. Speaker, we know that that's the right thing to do, but also the smart thing to do. My colleague will be happy to read it. I'll let him read the budget tonight. There is also investment for clean technology. On this side of the House, we know full well that we can build a strong, low-emissions economy. Mr. Speaker, this budget meets that challenge. We're here for this generation and future generations. We are investing in Canadian industry.
Yeah, I was hoping huge things. We're not doing the tree thing anymore. The billion trees, that was way behind.
Quebecers and Canadians are living through an unemployment crisis. There is a historic high in unemployment rates, especially for young people. Yet, this government wants to cut 40,000 public servants. Those are good unionized jobs, good jobs for Canadians with families, and the Liberals want to cut those jobs. Each of those public servants are providing services to Canadians and to Quebecers who need those services. During the election, the Prime Minister promised that he would cap the number of people employed by the public service, but not cut positions. Why is the Liberal government breaking its promise and cutting good jobs and services at a time when people need them the most? The Honourable Minister of Finance. Mr. Speaker, I thank my colleague for his question. I would like to reassure all public servants that we believe that they are doing an incredible job. Let us all applaud them. These are Canadian men and women who go to work to serve Canadians. We appreciate their work. We value their work. Mr. Speaker, our plan will bring the public service back down to a more sustainable size. We will do so in a caring and cautious way. Most of these jobs will be lost through attrition, Mr. Speaker. Tonight, families in Ottawa can sleep soundly. We're here for them. Thank you.
Halton Hills North.
Mr. Speaker, the last budget of 2 years ago had a fiscal anchor of a deficit of less than 1% of GDP in future years and constantly declining debt to GDP ratios in subsequent years. This budget has a fiscal anchor of deficits averaging 2% of GDP over the next number of years and a rising debt to GDP ratio. Will the Finance Minister confirm that his fiscal anchor is weaker than the last Finance Minister's fiscal anchor?
Yeah, we just lost our largest trading partner, Easy Cells.
He might have noticed that the world has changed, Mr. Speaker, and this is a new government. And Mr. Speaker,
I like MP Chung. He's smart as a whip. The Conservatives don't have much leg to stand on this one, as they kind of have to do something. But they will soon have lots of, I don't want to use the word ammo, but lots of stuff to be able to throw. Because spending...
fiscal position in the G7, Mr. Speaker. Not only we said it, but the director of the International Monetary Fund said Canada and Germany stand out, Mr. Speaker. We have the fiscal capacity to invest. We're going to build this country. We're going to protect this nation. We're going to build Canada strong together.
When you spend money, there's always some silly spending that's going to happen. And all the Conservatives got to do is do the line-by-line spending and find stuff. You know, it'll give it a good back and forth. Okay, here's Pierre. I don't know why he wasn't first.
Mr. Speaker, I congratulate the minister for presenting his first budget speech, but he spoke for quite some time. And given this Liberal government is adding almost $10 billion to our national debt every hour, it must be the most expensive speech in the history of this parliament.
Minister for his first budget speech. It was a very long speech, and given that this government is adding about $10 million to our national debt every single hour, I think we can say that while talk is cheap, it's very expensive when a Liberal finance minister does it.
Every dollar that the government spends comes out of the pockets of Canadians, and the more they spend, the more things cost. And that's why the Liberals doubled the cost of housing and lineups at food banks. And that's why we wanted an affordable budget for a more affordable Canada.
This government is the most expensive in Canadian history. Every dollar the Prime Minister spends comes out of the pockets of Canadians. The more they spend, the more things cost. And that's why Conservatives were calling for an affordable budget, for an affordable life, after Liberals doubled the cost of housing and doubled the lineups at our food banks.
Today, the Liberals have introduced the most costly deficit in the history of our country outside of COVID. It will generate higher costs for groceries, housing, and for everything else.
The Liberals have introduced the most costly and largest budget deficit in history outside of COVID. The cost of this Liberal budget will drive up the cost of food, housing, and everything else that Canadians buy. And the Prime Minister has broken every single promise he made just 7 short months ago. He promised a $62 billion deficit. He delivered nearly an $80 billion deficit, $16 billion bigger than he promised and twice the size that his predecessor left behind. He promised to lower the debt to GDP ratio. He raised it, and inflation along with it. He promised to spend less. He's spending $90 billion more, costing $5,400 per family in Canada. And that $90 billion, to the Prime Minister's heckles, is above and beyond the promised $16 billion that he says he will one day find. And if he doesn't find them, it will be over $100 billion in brand new spending to respond to the Prime Minister's heckles, Mr. Speaker. He also promised that he would invest more. His own budget document lays out a graph showing that every quarter of this year will see private sector business investment collapse. This costly budget forces Canadians to spend more on debt interest than on health care transfers. More than the government collects in GST. That means every dollar the Canadians pay in GST will go to bankers and bondholders instead of to doctors and nurses. All while he raises the industrial carbon tax on farm equipment and fertilizer and therefore food, on steel, concrete, and other industrial projects needed to build homes, a big tax increases on homes and food. Donc,
So, on behalf of Canadians who are already paying too much for the cost of this Liberal government to heat themselves, house themselves, and feed themselves, Conservatives will not be able to support this budget.
Instead, we will. Our party wanted an affordable budget for an affordable life. And on behalf of all the Canadians who can no longer afford to eat, heat, or house themselves because of Liberal inflation, we Conservatives cannot support this costly Liberal budget. But there is still time for the Prime Minister to do the right thing. We will put forward an amendment that will transform this policy by making Canada affordable again. It will get rid of the industrial carbon tax, cut the wasteful spending to bring down debt, inflation, and taxes. It will open our country up to opportunity by developing our prodigious resources, clear away bureaucracy to build affordable homes.
We want the Prime Minister to accept our amendment to make life more affordable for Canadians, to make their paychecks stronger and our economy more independent. That's the approach we're going to propose. We're proposing an economy that's more affordable for our young people, that is safer for our seniors, and that protects Canada's promise for everyone who works hard.
Full future. For our young people, we want homes, jobs, and hope. For our seniors, we want affordability, and we want for all Canadians who work hard to bring back the promise of Canada. Thank you very much.
Okay.
And with that, Mr. Speaker, I move, second by the member for Edmonton Gateway, that the debate be now adjourned. Thank you.
Okay, let's put it back about a second or so. Okay, so there we have it, folks. That was the budget. The Bloc didn't say whether they're going to support it or not. I don't think. I may have missed it. The NDP didn't say whether they were going to support it or not, unless I missed it. The Greens didn't speak. But Pierre and the Conservatives definitely 1,000% said they will not support the budget. So the Conservatives not supporting it isn't. I don't think that's a surprise to anyone. It was pretty quick that they said they won't support it. Did they get a full chance of reading it? Maybe. I think they got a good idea around it. So, they're the official opposition. You don't expect them to support it. I actually don't think. I don't even know if I've ever seen an opposition party support a budget. It's kind of disheartening to me, to be totally honest. It would have been nice sometimes that the politicians are like, you know what, at this point in time, because things are so messed up, we're going to support this, or we're going to. I was hoping that the Liberals would have brought a couple Conservatives into this budget, and then so it would have been able to support, but they didn't do that. And I'm not upset with either side, but I thought that this time we're in unprecedented times, and it's not just the fact that the 8 wars that were, thank God those 8 wars are done, but those 8 wars were raging. We'd be in a real bad position. But Trump, whether you like him or not, did a huge favor for the world. We'd be so close to a world war and these 8 wars would be draining the supplies of the military supplies of all the G7 nations, thus making us weaker, while the manufacturing place of the world, we won't mention the name, could just go on producing because they're not involved in the world as much as any other place. They only have a base in Djibouti in Africa, beautiful place, beautiful country. Though it's not happening. Okay, so that's like Israel has, the Middle East is joining hands in peace with Israel. So there's possible, I think, I honestly see a long-term peace going on there. There's going to be skirmishes because, because it is what it is. But I do not see a huge government-funded, billion-dollar funded thing happening with Iran being kind of putting out of it. Personally, Ukraine is obviously a huge, huge thing. It's the largest one that was happening, but the Europe paying attention to that on their own more or less, is a big deal. Basically, we have a more peaceful world, though the trading stuff is about to be getting thrown into turmoil. We're going to have to start doing mining, and the problem with why China actually picked up the rare earth metals, it's very polluting, it's messy, it's not good for humans. This rare earth is not good. So China was like, yeah, well, whatever. We don't have to worry about getting elected. So we let them take care of it. Now we're finding this isn't a good idea. They're not a great trading partner because they just said basically we're going to cancel any country that wants it, which was a poor move. But Canada may have an opportunity to have some kind of good trade with China. So that's kind of where we're at. I think. Sorry, I'm doing this there. But I thought his speech, to be honest, not to be overly distracted. He did a lot of like raw Canada in his and Philippe Champagne his speech. It was pretty good. I thought his speech was fairly good. It was like touting how good Canada is. I liked how he brought the Native American thing in, the 7-generation rule. When you do something, you think 7 generations ahead. 7 by 3, right? The school. I think that was. I thought that was really wily, smart, and in this part of I don't care about any other country, but in our land, we have a large Native American population who owns large swaths of the land that's just about to be opened up. So I think like Wabkanu is the first premier, Native American premier, which is shocking to me, to be honest. But he's doing a great job. It's a new time in Canada that we're going to be bringing in our First Nations into our politics more than we've seen in any other generation before. So that was a great that he gave the head nod up there to in his speech, and so that was good. The amount of money, how he's talking about $1 trillion in the next 5 years of spending, like. If that comes through, See, I think if we to do that, we'd have to allow like China and a lot of these other countries. I don't know where we're going to get that from. I don't know. I don't know what the plan is. The problem is we're going to have to parse a lot out. So, but if that $1 trillion in Canada, we only have 40 million people. It'll make a big difference in this country. They need to put a lot into the housing. I don't know if that was done right. We're definitely going to see. We're going to see. I think the next couple days with this budget, because it has so much spending in it, is we're going to have to see. The Bloc Quebec Quad leader said there's only $2 billion in spending per item or line or something like that. I'm not sure exactly how he said it. But that'll probably knock it up. See, this, I believe if the budget was the way I read it, lots of money into infrastructure, into building Canada, and not just to help investors. I don't really, investors, great. Like, use the country's money, our low borrowing, to invest in ourselves. If that's the case, it's great. It'll be great for the Conservatives. Why? The Conservatives get to do their thing. What makes the Conservatives good or a strong party is their fiscal management. That's their strongest asset, basically. And that's kind of the reason why they're always opposition, I think. Part of the reason they don't like to spend, right? And if you don't like to spend, it's hard to get elected. No promises, right? Promises. So anyway, besides that, the Liberals having a great idea spending, they're going to do stupid spending. It's guaranteed. Sometimes it's putting someone in a position who doesn't really know what the heck's going on, and a mistake gets made. Sometimes it's a little bit of getting their hands wet. You know what I mean? They know somebody, and they're like, yeah, they're good, and we'll use that company. Something will happen. Many things will happen. The more they spend, the more you'll find. So it'll give the Conservatives lots of funding and talking points. And so most likely give it 5 years if they have enough spending and enough of mistakes added up. The Conservatives will take over and then finish whatever projects that are started. It'll be a good handover if they last a couple of years. You know what I mean? This government. And if it is really the spending, if it isn't much spending and isn't much building, well, when you give 30 lawyers money, because they're all lawyers mostly in there, you give 30 lawyers money to start an agency, you're not going to find any holes because they don't do anything. They break papers. But when you build something, there's so many hands involved, and there's contractors, this business, that business, and they do that, and competition problems. There's so many people in the mix. There's problems that happen, and so it's good fun. I call them the Canadian scandals. Canadian scandals. Like one guy says, one guy told me, he says, like, Canadian scandals are my country's good days, right? So it's all relative, and Canadian scandals are I like, they're light. We can laugh the whole time about it. Like, oh God, look at these idiots again, right? And it's not that they're idiots. It's just that's just how we can go about it. So if this budget is the way I read it through the speech, which I haven't read it, of course, I'm going to read it maybe tonight. See where if it really is actual spending and we are actually building. Hey, this is a great thing for the country. We need to spend it right now. To open up ports, to open up the north, to build new like that. That was another part of the speech that I really enjoyed, where he said, "Are we going to build new roads?" That was like, I swear, he should have stopped and looked at Guilbeault, looked over at Guilbeault, and then continued. We're going to build roads, build new roads. Minister, they said there is going to be money for the green, but it was noted by one MP that there isn't much in there for the green projects. Like they canceled the 2 billion tree project. I don't know why. It could be they should have, what I think they should have done is they should have extended it, because if you're going to build on a highway, plant trees beside it, and that would be a part of the program, right? You know, you don't have to cancel it. You can keep the whole thing running, because I read about it. There's like a company, and they expanded for this, and you know what I mean? And so they could have kept it going. I think they should have, because if you build, you need to plant trees. It just happens. What they usually do is they just bulldoze everything so it's flat and easy, and then they plant trees later. Though there was beautiful trees and everything there on the land, they just clear it. It makes it easier to build than putting trees around. It's just that's the way we do it. I don't really like that, but that's just how we do it in this country. And so, you know what I mean? You're going to replanting. So I don't know. I just, not that I thought that the program was great. I just, when you build something, you put the infrastructure behind it, the paperwork behind something. To canceling it, it costs money, and you don't get any benefit, right? So, and so anyway, that's it about that silly. It was a silly program anyway. Canada built planting trees. And in cities and towns, anyone's been into a town where they've done the planting of trees, like in the sidewalk, they do the sidewalk thing. It makes the town look so much nicer. Nothing is more beautiful than a tree lit up, especially in the fall time. You know what I mean? With proper lighting, it's just beautiful. It helps quiet a city. It helps add moisture. If you know the largest oak tree you see, not the biggest in the world, but a very large oak tree puts out about a fire hose of water constantly. That's how much water it puts out. So it desertifies our cities, our downtowns. It helps clean the air. There's all kinds of great, good, wonderful things. So I think that could have been a program that they could have done better and slowed it down. Like, just planting trees in fields is just stupid, right? You know, this is Canada, for crying out loud. Just stop cutting the grass and trees will come, right? But planting them in towns and greening up our gray areas is you know. Anyway, I digress, of course, as per. And so what else did he say in the speech? Like I said, I thought all in all it was a good speech. It was happy Canada, good for Canada, rah Canada, and it was budget. He nodded to the special interest groups, but he didn't do it he didn't take too much time on the special interest group nodding to them. Number 2 says the budget is being voted on today. Yeah, the budget's going to pass. I think it's going to pass. Is the budget no, they're gonna look it over. We're gonna find out. I think today, honestly, CTV and CBC will have decent shows. They'll have good shows. Most likely, they'll have the politicians go on their show. I hope so. They'll have their politicians go on the shows today, and they'll have all kinds of people. See, the reason, especially on days like this, because it takes a long time to do the research. So CBC and CTV, Global as well, sorry, they have the staff that can, and with the knowledge to go and read through this stuff, and so they can parse it out to us. So I think it's a good resource. Those three, Global, CTV, and CBC, for days like this, especially on budget stuff. And then, of course, you can do it yourself. I'm going to do another video. No, they're not voting on it today. They're done for the day. They went home. And they're going to get their advisors, their staffers, to tell them what's what, right? That's what they're going to do. And I think they'll send some people out. We'll get a little bit today, a little bit tomorrow, mostly tomorrow, I think, CBC Global, and then their political shows. Was it Power Play? Power in Politics, and Mercedes. I can't remember the name of that one. But those, you know what I mean? They have a good. The reason I don't watch the Global is Global doesn't put their political show on YouTube, and I don't watch them. They should. If you're listening, if you're from Global, put your political show on your YouTube channel, as every other one does. It'll get, you know, or not, do what you do. But I think it's going to be very interesting tonight. We're going to hopefully get the politicians to get out and speech. But the next few days, we're going to find out a lot about this. is if it is spending $500 billion, if there really is spending, you never know, right? When it's in a speech, this is a big game changer. He didn't talk about pipelines. He didn't talk about things. He did talk about ports and roads and digital corridors. I want the corridor. Everyone knows who. There's only a couple of us here, but the corridor. To me, I believe it's what we should be doing is this corridor. You see, I got it here under Pierre. I'll just put it on Pierre's chest here. And having anywhere in that red line corridor, here, I'll even make it bigger. Anywhere in this red lines of corridor, there, Pierre, the size of Pierre, tickle in there, his nose. Have it, you don't need a permit, you don't need a this, and stuff like that. Here, I'll even. That's what I think they should have done instead of this idea of anything else. It would have made it easier. They could have just said, hey, if you have a project in this area where this red line is, you're approved. Outside of that, we'll have to do normal things, right? Oops. We'll have to continue to the normal ways of permitting projects there. As you can see it there, pretty fairly clear. I believe that so this corridor here, and it should be a road from Churchill all the way through Ontario and Quebec to the East Coast, and then to Alberta. I think it should go all the way to BC, but to Alberta, at least a road with the pipeline to the thing. And anywhere in that area, you just have it as like a green light zone. And it would make things easier without having to compromise the policies they already put in place for reasons that were good or bad, whatever. Good, they were well-intended reasons. But having to reinvent it and then pre-approve certain things, that's where it comes from. But that's it. I appreciate everyone watching.